Hello, everyone,
Hey,
and
everybody.
welcome to the Gravity Max live stream. In today's episode, we are talking about conspiracy theories. It is the first episode of season 5, and our guest today is Joey. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing all right.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited. Get to speak the truth,
Yeah.
if you will.
so you know a thing or
Disclaimer,
two about
we're not.
conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah, bit of a enthusiast myself.
Yeah,
Tinfoil hat manufacturer.
nice.
They're very important. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, thank you all for coming today to watch our live stream, and I think it's gonna be a fun one. Yeah, I think this is a fascinating subject. So yeah, let's get right into it. So to begin, we have a disclaimer for the sake of, I guess, YouTube, and I don't know, just for whatever. Let's read this. So we do not promote the spread of disinformation. In this episode, we talk about conspiracy theories from an analytical perspective. We do not endorse or believe in any of these unconfirmed conspiracy theories, but we do believe it is important to talk about them to shed light on the people who believe in them. So conspiracy theories are a fairly big cultural phenomenon. And just there's a lot of, I guess, especially nowadays, I feel like there is a lot of sort of distrust in authority. I guess that's
That's
a good
fair.
way of
Yeah, that's
putting it.
fair.
I would say there's a lot of distrust in authority right now. So I think it's relevant. But yeah, we're not trying to spread disinformation. We are first and foremost an educational live stream podcast thing. Although we do like to lighten it up with some comedy, but yeah. So we're not trying to spread anything false. We just think that it's important to teach about what some people believe, just because it's fascinating, interesting. That's sort of what we like to do here. Talk about things that are fascinating or interesting. So yeah, that's the disclaimer. All right. So next, visit the Gravity Max website at gravitymaxmedia.com. We also have 4 social media platforms now. We've got Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also Patreon. If you want to donate to our Patreon, that would be very fun. Links in the description. Yeah, I started a Patreon a little while ago, but we only have like 700 people, so I'm not really expecting to get a ton of. I just thought it'd be a good idea to sort of make a Patreon. Everyone makes a Patreon. I don't know. So yeah. So let's see what's next. So then we got Sebastian. Sebastian is on Instagram, Twitter, and of course YouTube. 128 seconds, shorter videos once a week.
Give or take 2 minutes. Give or take.
Yeah, give or take 2 minutes long. Very educational, and I think it's a good counterbalance to our long format to have some nice short format videos. So definitely check him out, just to get some quick, like, rapid information. I think that's a great idea. So then finally, A Bottle to Flame. We are actually 3 weeks away, 3 weeks from the release date of my second novel, my second sci-fi novel. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be on Amazon on November 1st. So if you haven't read the first book, A Truly Dead Rock, yet, I think you should do that if you want to read the second book. Yeah, makes a good, I don't know, holiday gift. That's sort of why books are released. That's at least why I'm releasing this book in, quarter 4 of the year. Quarter 4 of the year is always a good time for, holiday shopping. So yeah, there are many reasons why you might want to buy a book in the upcoming weeks. So I would say get this book. But yeah, so that's all the plugs. So let's talk about conspiracy theories.
The thing about jet fuel.
Yeah, so that's a reference to a common line from conspiracy theorists, particularly the conspiracy theorists who question, I guess, like 9/11. I don't know what aspects. Different people question different aspects of it. Partly like who caused it, or even if it happened at all, which I would say is a little crazy because it was only like 19 years ago. But the common thing they say is that jet fuel cannot melt steel beams, which is that the temperature at which jet fuel burns is not sufficient to melt steel beams. What they forget is that heat does make metal more malleable before it melts, so it weakens the structure, and that is what happened in the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We're
gonna get into some crazy theories today, Max. Prepare to have your mind warped, and you too,
prepare
dear
to have my
viewer.
mind warped. Okay. Yeah. Take everything with a grain of salt, I would say. So
well, that's what the disclaimer. Once we're past the disclaimer, now we're in anarchy land.
Now we're in anarchy. We're in an anarchist jurisdiction. We can just say what we want. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So today's episode, we're just going to talk about why conspiracy theories are a thing, and then we're going to talk about certain conspiracy theories. So yeah, I don't have much more to say about that.
Welcome
Should we just get started?
to the first episode of season 5.
Yeah, the intense season.
Let's go.
Yeah, the red season, the intense season. I'm wearing red for the red season.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Get excited, Joey. Get excited.
I am excited for season 5.
Oh
yeah.
So let's talk about the origin of some conspiracy theories.
So why do conspiracy theories happen? Why do people not believe the stated, I guess, authoritative, like, story, I guess, but narrative? So people have questioned this for a long time, and there are some reasons that they question these things. So yeah, let's begin with confirmed theories. So it's interesting. People often refer to conspiracy theories just as conspiracies. They say that's a conspiracy when they really mean that's a conspiracy theory, because a conspiracy is when a small group of people make a plot, like a secret plot to, do something bad, essentially. And so a conspiracy theory is a theory that this has occurred or this is occurring. So when people just say, oh, that's a conspiracy, you gotta say that's a conspiracy theory. It's sort of like a shorthand. But yeah, so some confirmed theories include the plot to kill Julius Caesar and the Watergate scandal. So Julius Caesar was murdered by, like, I don't know, it got to be a ridiculous amount of people. It was like a third of the Roman Senate or something was like, yeah, we got to get rid of this guy. And then they did. So, but before Julius Caesar was actually killed, if you were to say, oh my gosh, a ton of Roman senators are going to kill Julius Caesar, that would be a conspiracy theory. So just because something is a conspiracy theory doesn't automatically make it incorrect. It's just the fact that a lot of them happen to be incorrect because once a conspiracy theory has been proven right, it's no longer a theory. It is just history. It's just a thing that happened. So another example is the Watergate scandal, where like Nixon and his campaign staff, they sort of, they went into the Democrat headquarters and like stole the information, the tapes. So that's a conspiracy. I'm trying to think of other examples of actual conspiracies that have happened. These were the two. I forgot. I feel like I had more, but these are the only two I put pictures down for, so I forget the others. But yeah, so basically the reason that people believe in conspiracies today, or conspiracy theories, is that actual conspiracy plots have happened in the past. So there have actually been successful or attempted, actually just recently there was a conspiracy plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was crazy.
So a small group of people like made a plot. They were like staking out her vacation home or something ridiculous like that. And so they wanted to kidnap the governor of Michigan. And that would be a conspiracy. It was thwarted by the FBI, but it was an attempted conspiracy. So basically the concept of conspiracy theories is not completely outlandish and unjustified, because conspiracies have happened in the past and they just keep happening. Conspiracy plots keep happening. So just dismissing something as a conspiracy theory isn't exactly the right thing to do, I would say. You have to actually dismiss it based on the facts. You have to say, you have to disprove the facts that they try to use, because a lot of these theories actually that we're going to get into, I would say, are some of the more outlandish ones. Some are just usually sarcastic, but depends. You have your opinions on that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. We're actually going to rank how crazy we think each of these theories are. But the basic point here is just that conspiracies do happen on occasion, so it isn't automatically crazy to suggest that a conspiracy might be occurring. So yeah.
Speaking of crazy.
Yeah. So yes, mental illness, that's the next category. So a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of conspiracy theorists are actually suffering from certain mental illnesses, particularly illnesses related to schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia. There's this concept called gang stalking, and it is a condition where people believe that they are being stalked by a gang of people. Usually that has manifested in agents of the state, so like the FBI or something, the CIA, like government agents are after me, essentially. That is the most common manifestation, but it could just be anything else. It could be like the mafia, it could be some sort of actual gang, as the slang word is used now, like what we would say when we say the word gang. So, and it's really interesting because a lot of these people that have these illnesses, particularly gang stalking, have come together on the internet, which we'll talk about in a few slides, and they have formed a community called the Targeted Individuals community. And the Targeted Individuals community believe that government agents are after them. And so obviously that is a conspiracy theory. And so it's just important to remember here that some of these conspiracy theorists may actually be suffering from mental illnesses because related to paranoia and just distrust. So yeah, that's the point here. So some conspiracy theories are precedent. I mean, this whole thing, we're trying to talk about the origin. So the origin is that there is some precedent for the concept of small groups of people. That was last slide. Small groups of people doing bad things. But then also there is precedent in the medical community that people suffering from certain mental illnesses will have a proclivity to end up believing in conspiracy theories. So yeah, that's what I would say for this slide.
So now we're going to talk about some discrepancies.
Yeah, discrepancies. So that's another often point of contention for these conspiracy theorists, and it's sort of a false leap, essentially. So the government, or just the narrative, the authoritative, just the history, what's written as this is what happened, sometimes what is presented doesn't exactly add up, right? And that is fair. Sometimes the story doesn't 100% add up. But then what the conspiracy theorists do, and this is a mistake, is that they assume that since it doesn't add up, the correct explanation must be their conspiracy theory. Whereas it could be, anything else. So like say some video footage doesn't match up. I mean, the simplest answer could be just like a faulty video camera or something like that. Or like perspective, video, there's a lot of video illusions and tricks that can occur. So going from this doesn't exactly add up to my answer must be correct is a false step in logic, and that is often used in some of these conspiracy theories. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you guys have anything else to add, I mean.
No, yeah, I think you pretty much got it.
That's it.
Because,
yeah.
And yeah, you can clearly see the next slide. But a lot of people out there on the internet, especially with COVID and stuff, it gives us a lot of time to think. And sometimes you can go down a train. You see something that doesn't necessarily add up. Like you're listening to someone just rattle off a story, and you realize that some times or some dates don't add up. Stuff isn't taking as long as it should, or stuff is taking way longer than it should. So naturally, your brain tries to think of the answer. With all this spare time and other people on the internet to kind of fuel you, you could go down this massive train of thought, and then eventually you end up with a full-fledged conspiracy theory.
The human mind.
Yeah, definitely. I was one to hop on the train of Five Nights at Freddy's, more commonly known as FNAF, when that was popular in 2014. I was however old I was in 2014, and I made a lot of theories for that. Now I'm retired from that because I had made so many theories, and some of them I still believe to be true, and they have not yet been proven, but I'm holding on to those until my dying day. So take it away, Max. Tell us about the internet.
I was just going to add quickly that the human mind has this capability for pattern recognition, and evolutionarily, it's advantageous to recognize patterns anywhere you can possibly see them, just for survival, because even if you recognize some false patterns, it's not going to harm you as much as not noticing a pattern would. So the human mind has evolved to be very good at pattern recognition, to the point that it's too good at pattern recognition. So when something doesn't add up and you see other pieces of evidence, you're like, oh, this is a pattern I see. This is the theory. So people like to theorize. So yeah, definitely. So with the internet, I would say the internet has definitely accelerated the spread of conspiracy theories, just as it has accelerated the spread of information and disinformation. So the internet is an incredible tool for communication, and it sort of allows, there are, say, fandoms on the internet where groups of people that, Reddit is sort of this Reddit, you can create a subreddit for, say you are a fan of a particular TV show. You can make a subreddit for it, and then all the people that are fans of that show will go on that subreddit to talk about it. So the internet is very good at connecting groups of people with similar interests. But the problem with that is that if those similar interests are, crazy conspiracy theories, then they might group together around those theories and just, scheme and theorize, and it might not be good. And so another thing about the internet is that it's very meritocratic in a sense. And a lot of social media platforms have tried to curb that a little bit, because it's it's like ANCAP essentially, because it's any idea will spread just based on how sensational it is. And there is no, say, at first, there was no regulation on say that I make a product and it is a faulty product, but, I'm very good at advertising and selling it to people, right? I'm a charlatan. What will end up happening is that you'll usually get some regulations come in and say, hey, this is fraudulent, you can't do that. But with the internet and with ideas, it's harder to enforce that because they're just ideas. So the craziest ideas will get the most press just because they are the most fascinating. So the most bombastic personalities, just the most interesting people, they get clicks. So if you write some crazy headline that's oh, blah, 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 implicated in conspiracy, right? Then you're going to get more clicks. This is basically the concept of clickbait. Even if it isn't true, you're going to get more people to click on it than just a reasonable article that's oh, this person has been indicted and accused on blah, 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 versus this person is implicated in a conspiracy theory. So that is sort of why conspiracy theories are able to spread. That is because of just the internet's sort of very meritocratic, very loophole-y, it allows you to sort of sensationalize, but at the same time, you also have this sort of aspect of bringing groups of people together that believe in the same thing. So that's sort of the internet's role in spreading conspiracy theories. Because if you were, 50 years ago, a conspiracy theorist, how would you go about spreading this information? I mean, would you call everyone on your list of phone numbers and say, hey, I just figured this out. I blew this wide open, right? I mean, you would have to go around town. You would end up being one of those people with like the end is nigh, like on a sign in the middle of the street. But now with the internet, you can just, make a post on like any form of social media. And while most people will scroll past it or be like, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, you'll get a few people that are like, hey, you're onto something. And that is a bit of a problem, I guess, for conspiracy theories. But
yeah, that's why it's so common.
Yeah.
And I think especially in America too, because we have freedom of speech and all that.
Yeah.
I feel like a significant amount of conspiracy theories comes out of America specifically. But
yeah.
So now we're gonna get into the next bit, which is the actual theories.
Yep.
We're gonna be talking about some more, maybe they're real theories. Some, hey now, it's a little crazy, and some knock your socks off, rock your morning oatmeal theories.
Yeah.
And we're gonna rate them, which I think is the next slide on.
Yeah, that's the next slide.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the madness meter.
Yeah, we got the madness meter.
From green to purple, we measure it using our friend Alex Jones.
Mr. Jones, yes.
And I guess Max, you're gonna have to move him, and like.
Oh, I can move him
on the thing.
I can place him on the.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the
yeah, I got you.
After we rank it.
All right. Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
Well, so the levels go from 1 to 13. So first to 13th degree, and it is a logarithmic scale where each degree is 1/4 as likely. So tier 1, the first degree is like, oh, there's maybe a 25% chance that actually happened. And once you get down to tier 13, there's a 15 in a billion chance that it happened. So that's our madness meter, roughly. So we're not really going to be doing the calculations, but that's sort of how to think of the madness meter, I guess, once we start placing things on there. So yeah, that's the madness meter. But yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah. So now we can start hopping into them. Number 1, we start off with Wyoming. Where is
real?
Wyoming? Is it real? Joey, do you want to lead us off on this one?
Okay. So, theory is that basically that Wyoming just doesn't exist because, first of all, you've probably never been there. If you have, it was a figure of your imagination. When was the last time you met someone from Wyoming?
Never.
You haven't. Exactly. So that's kind of the theory. And you can look on this map here. There is no Wyoming on it, which is kind of proof, that it's made up. So.
Yeah. So I would say this is more of an internet joke, the Wyoming thing. I feel like it started off as more of a joke.
Where's Wyoming on the map then?
Well, I mean, I'm the one who edited it out, so I know where it is.
This map is not edited, Max.
This map is not edited.
From the CDC.
Okay.
Who's known for making maps of the U.S.
Yeah, I was about to say the CDC known for making.
So, guys, what do we think? Do we think it's a government dead zone? Do we think it's what is the purpose for for people?
So the government, so the government can implant their own senators and congressmen. You know what I mean?
Say an election is close. It's too
so
close,
three people
they want to win is getting down. What do they use? They use Wyoming. Right
exactly.
There. They just got three extra electoral votes that really.
Or in the Senate.
Yeah. Oh
or
yeah.
in the
also,
Senate.
Yeah, the Senate.
Well, that's 2 out of 50.
Yeah.
Well, 2 out of 100. 1 out of
2 out of 100. 1 out of 50. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So you have 2% chance of rigging the Senate.
Look at that.
So that's kind of why. That's kind of the government's motivation for not having Wyoming and making it up.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting joke because a lot of like flat Earth people, which we'll talk about a little later, they say similar things about Australia unironically. They say Australia is not real. Anyone you meet from Australia is a government actor. What?
This is not ironic. There is
not ironic. Okay. So then I will say that a lot of flat Earth conspiracy theorists believe similarly that Australia is non-existent because it doesn't really fit on a flat Earth map. It doesn't really work. So they just sort of say, "Oh, it's not real." I think this one guy actually, like, there's a whole post where this one guy, he went on like a plane to Australia, and then he said like, "Oh, I got sleepy mid-flight, like they must have drugged me," and so he falls asleep on the plane, and then he wakes up and he's like, "I'm not actually in Australia," like just stupid.
Where did he think he was?
I don't know. I don't know. And then when he leaves, he goes back and he's like, "Drat, they fooled me. I didn't actually go to Australia."
He believed for a second though he was actually in Australia. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna rate this on the madness meter?
I would say it's 13th degree.
13th degree?
Yeah, this is not. This is just. We have satellite. This is nonsensical.
I don't
That's
know.
what I would
I'm
say.
feeling.
Put him in.
Yeah, I'm okay. All right, 13. May or may not be.
You know what? I'm gonna put it at 12.
He's putting it at a 12.
Okay. So wait. This is the question though. So is by Wyoming isn't real? Do you mean no one lives there, or do you mean the actual land is not there?
The actual land is not there.
Okay, that's a 15. Or sorry, that's a 13. That's a 13.
It's split between Idaho and South Dakota, as you can see, where they claim Wyoming is. So yeah,
I'm gonna have to hit present again if we're gonna want to see the.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Madness meter.
All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Next up is the Cheney assassination.
JFK's assassination. Everyone knows John Fitzgerald K, and he is the what number president was he?
35th. He was the 35th president of the United States.
35th president of the United States.
Anyway, he thought it'd be a good idea to ride in a convertible. He was wrong.
He was wrong.
He got shot in the head.
There's a ton of conspiracy theories because, and I think the main reason for them is it's a traumatic event, and any traumatic event inspires conspiracy theories.
And B is that it's very likely.
B is that there's the magic bullet, and what the magic bullet means is that Lee Harvey Oswald fired 2 shots, I believe it was 2, into the motorcade that JFK was in. And the FBI, the lead director of the FBI at the time, and people that were there, and like the people in the car, were like interviewed and stuff, and they did their own analysis. And the trajectory of the bullets really don't make sense. Like one of the bullets would have had like gone through a seat, turned, and then gone in a completely other direction, which isn't how bullets work.
Interesting.
But so that also is it inspires a lot of stuff. That's actually why in the X-Men universe, Magneto is the one who killed JFK because he moved it out of the way because that's an explanation for a bullet just going in a completely random direction. But,
I would say another aspect of this is that Lee Harvey Oswald was himself assassinated a few days later by, I believe, a man named Jack Ruby, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want Jackie Kennedy to have the wife to have to like deal with the court case. Essentially, like he shouldn't be put on trial because if he's put on trial, it'll be so traumatic, essentially for everyone. So he kills Lee Harvey Oswald, and so some people say that it was. So this is often I hear that it's like the CIA was implicated in the Kennedy assassination. So some people say that like Lee Harvey Oswald was assassinated so that he wouldn't say anything while he was on trial because they needed to cover up like the truth that, I don't know, someone instigated him to it. Another interesting thing about Lee Harvey Oswald is that he was just sort of a very interesting person because he was a communist, and so he went to the USSR and renounced his American citizenship and became a citizen of the USSR, but then they didn't like him there. He just was not good. He was just I don't know, but they, for whatever reason, Russia was like, get out of here, go back. So they sent him back to
Imagine
America.
getting kicked out of Russia.
Exactly. He got kicked out of the USSR, and then they sent him back, and then like he became an American citizen again or something like that. And so right after the Kennedy assassination, there was some speculation that this was a Russian plot, because at this time this was in the midst of the Cold War. So they were thinking, wait, did the USSR send an operative to assassinate the president of the US? But the USSR, I think it was it Khrushchev? I think it was Khrushchev was in charge. He was quickly like, we did not do this. We did not do this. Because this is shortly after the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was, I would say, one of the closest points in the Cold War where it actually went nuclear. And so Kennedy and Khrushchev, I believe it was, I might be getting this wrong, but the leader of Russia, they like negotiated and like got things to settle down. So then the USSR did not want to be implicated in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. They were like, no, we didn't do this. Please, we didn't do this. So that's another source, I would say, of the contemporary speculation during the time, versus now there's other speculations.
Joey, what do you think happened? How was JFK killed? Do you have any?
Well, I think whatever. I do believe there's a second view, but I think the more interesting aspect is who done it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because he just didn't act alone. I think that's foolish to think, because you got to keep in mind, Kennedy had made some enemies. First, number one was with the mob, because we know in the city of Chicago, more dead people voted for him than alive people. And he went in. They were expecting some stuff in return, but they weren't. He wasn't going to get them. He wasn't getting them done, which obviously would make them unhappy. And the second aspect is he was not liked by the CIA. I'm pretty sure the CIA. Hold on, let me just check. Sorry, of the FBI. He was not liked at the FBI. He wanted to end some programs they didn't want ended. That kind of thing.
So I guess then what we would be ranking on the madness meter is.
I would say this one's a bit more plausible.
Yeah, was Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone or by himself? And what we would be ranking is he is not working alone. How likely do we think that is? Scale of 1 to 13 on the madness meter. Joey, what are you thinking?
Well, I think the chances of just general funny business is extremely high. I just think there's no way that one man did it. And I think the question is, to what extent were people involved and who wasn't involved.
It was such a
I think that's the question.
Yeah, it was such a crazy shot as well. Like if you really think about it, like you can watch the video of JFK getting shot. Weirdly enough, that's the time we live in. You can, if you really look hard enough, you can find the video. He's in a moving car, and that car is like, it's not like slowly, because I always thought he was like slowly going through like people, like a parade or something. He's in a car going like 30-40 miles per hour, and Lee Harvey Oswald was able to fire 2 incredibly accurate shots into this car, killing the president, and I think someone else was hit but might not have died. But it's like a moving target, and he didn't miss once, you know. And it's like I don't think he was ex-military. I don't know if he really had any like extreme training, but even if you did, like actual military snipers have hard times hitting those shots, you know. So they're definitely funny business, 100%. Was Lee Harvey Oswald hired by the FBI, or did the FBI help him out? Let's put that on the madness meter. Where do we think that's gonna go?
Well, I think. What do you guys think? Do you guys think A, he acted alone, B, he was hired by the mob, or C, he was hired by the FBI?
I would have to say just Occam's razor. I just think it's for all of these, I think it's just the presented story is the most likely one.
But that's boring, Max. It's not
I know
That
that's
the bullet,
boring.
that the bullet,
But next to
that the
that,
bullet hooked through a seat. That the bullet hooked
Mhm.
through a seat. That went through the seat and then changed directions.
you
That's
see, I'm
more
not
likely.
I'm not well researched enough on this, but I would believe the well. Okay, so here's the thing about a lot of conspiracy theories that I must say is that conspiracies involving the American government in particular, I just do not believe that the American government is going to be particularly good at keeping a secret. Okay, think of all like in the past 4 years, how many like
they kept MK Ultra secret for over 2 decades.
okay, how many news cycles have centered around some whistleblower in the past 4 years? This is so the American government is of the people, by the people, for the people, right?
Okay,
So you've got so many people involved. You've got so many people involved in governance that it just would not make sense that not one of them would
Oh,
reveal a secret.
No,
I mean, think about it. You've got
but you have to remember that the JFK case files are still sealed. Like they have not been released to the public. Why have they been holding on to these files about this case for this long? Like how long has it been? Like 70 years?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like-
I imagine.
Or less than 70 years.
I just do not believe. This is what I'm saying. Just because there's discrepancies, I don't think that those discrepancies
But then why hold on
must
to
be
it?
explainable.
Why would they
by
hold on? Why would they keep the
conspiracy
files
theories.
secret for like 60 years?
I don't. I mean, they keep files secret all the time. I would just. I really. I don't know.
And you
but
don't think
I
the
just.
U.S.
I'm not
government
convinced.
can
I'm not
hold
convinced.
a secret?
That's what I would say. I don't think the U.S. government can really. At least
We
in.
don't know what's in those files.
I just don't think. I don't think they are particularly good at holding a secret because you got to remember, like the FBI. It's not just the director of the FBI. Think of how many people would have to be involved in something like this, in a plot like this.
Or it could also be a very small group of people though.
I feel like you would need a lot.
Hey, he goes in, J. Edgar Hoover, his top people. I want the president killed. 5 people, and then says, okay, we'll get some kook to do it. That's what they do.
It's fair. They need a fall guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so then here, that's another thing. Is Lee Harvey Oswald the one who fired the shot? Because that's not even known.
Yes, he actually, I know this. When he was in this like I think it was a textbook factory or warehouse or something, and when he came down the stairs like to leave, basically, after the shots were fired, the cops went flooding into the building because they were like, "Oh my gosh, someone just shot the president from that building." And on his way out, he like shot a police officer. Actually,
he shot a police officer. Yeah.
Yeah, he shot a police officer, then ran away. So I'm pretty sure it's known that it was him.
Doesn't mean that he was the one who fired the first 2 shots. It could have been someone else in the building got away.
I don't know.
Well, you got to keep in mind. He was in the Marines. He had ties to the government.
He was okay.
He had ties to the government, but I think that increases the chances of it being the FBI.
Okay, so the fact that I didn't know he was in the government or that he was in the military, the fact that he was in the Marines does make it a little more plausible that he's the one that fired the shots because those like are the hard shots to make. But what's more likely, the FBI hiring him or the mob hiring him?
Okay, yeah. Out of those 2 options, I would say it is more likely that the FBI would have been involved.
Really?
Yeah.
But wouldn't the mob be more likely to order a hit in general? That's
true.
actually cap. Never mind.
But no. But But I don't feel like the mob was powerful in the 60s, right? Not as powerful as they were in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, but that's why they got Kennedy into office, so they could increase their influence,
Yeah, but I feel like we're looking at the mob as kind of like a reactionary thing, and I don't think they are. I think we're not giving them enough credit here, because they, it's organized crime. Like they organize stuff. After JFK died, wouldn't they then, like, if they got mad at him because he didn't support the mob, wouldn't they then try and put forth a candidate who would support the mob. Like, I feel like if that was their main motive, they would have a follow-up. The fact that they just killed him and left it there doesn't really... I don't feel like if there was a criminal...
They wouldn't really gain much from that.
Exactly. Like, maybe they were just trying to, like, send a message, but the fact that we don't even know if it was the mob means that they either failed in that capacity or they didn't do it, you know? So I would lean between the mob and the FBI, or the CIA, or I think we did say it was the FBI.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Right? So you're in the mob, right? You're a mob leader. You get this guy. You get this. You get this. Just imagine. You get this guy as he's the president now, and he's there on promises he granted to you, and he's not doing those things. He's a liability. He can start spilling the beans because clearly he isn't loyal to the promises. So he's a liability to them because he can expose them.
Well, expose the mob? Like, people know the mob is crime.
Yes, but he could. I think Kennedy was a liability to the mob.
You think
or
so?
they saw him as a liability.
I got to go FBI because think about it. Think about the act of killing a president is just insane. Like, if you think about it, it's insane. You know, and like whether you think that the president plays like is the most important branch, whether you don't think he's the most important branch, either way, he holds a ton of power. It's the most power ever invested in one person in modern history, like excluding like kings and stuff and all that. But killing a president is a like literal massive historical undertaking that can have extreme ramifications because look at risk versus reward. Say that you are in the mob. Kennedy, you do see Kennedy as a liability. You see him as a liar because he had promised you all this stuff and he didn't do it. Still, killing a president could reasonably and debatably get the entire mob killed. Like, if you think about it, killing a president means that you now have the FBI, the CIA, the National Guard, all branches of the military, like, after you. Like, the U.S. military in 1960, like, they were just coming off of the 40s and 50s when our military strength went through the roof. So, I think that the risk would way outweigh the reward if they did that. Now, think about it if you were in the FBI. Say that you saw that Kennedy, you think that he's going to make bad decisions. Like, maybe they didn't like that he was talking to Russia so much. Because, you know, he had planned...
Well, they also didn't like that he planned on seriously cutting the FBI's budget that they don't have, of stuff they don't have to disclose to the public. Because they get a portion of budget where they use that money and we don't know why. And Kennedy didn't like that, as no one should. But obviously they like having money for secret programs.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question. Did Lyndon B. Johnson end up doing the same budget cuts?
He did not.
No.
Oh, he didn't.
Yeah, I don't think so. But think about it. Think about it. Think about why JFK is one of the most famous presidents. Because if you think about it, he was in office for only 2 or 3 years before he got assassinated.
Because he got shot.
Yeah. But if you think about it, if JFK had not been shot, I would say that the world would be different. Like,
yeah, he would not have been as notable, I would say.
Yeah. But a lot of historical fiction texts see him as like you said, it was one of the big markers of like science fiction. Like if you read
11/22/63.
Thank you. You know, stuff can change. Stuff changes, butterfly effect and all that. The world would be different if JFK hadn't been shot. Maybe he did work with Russia. Maybe there was a joint plan to go to the moon. You know, JFK thought that we would
AFK.
thought that we would be on the moon like during his presidency or whatever goal he set.
He said by the end of the decade.
Oh,
so they did
right.
actually.
Look at that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You see, I feel like
I just think that my main point, and then I'll let you go, is that with JFK, if you're in the FBI, you are literally dealing with the fate of the entire planet. Because it was after the 50s. America had become a global superpower. And admittedly, the most powerful global superpower. China was still in the dust, and Russia was suffering its own stuff from like revolutions and change of leaderships and stuff. You are dealing with the fate of the entire world, and when you're dealing with the fate of the entire world, assassinating a president seems like a lot less of a insane course of action. I just think that between the mob and the FBI is legitimately and feasibly dealing with the entire planet.
Okay.
Whereas the mob is dealing with crime in America.
I think Lee Harvey Oswald was just the sole gunman, and I think he acted alone. Here's the reason why. Killing the U.S. president. If you're in the FBI, you want the nation to succeed and prosper. Killing a president is really not a good way to make that happen, because it will destabilize the economy. Like, everything goes mad. After there's an assassination, even just an attempted assassination, like Reagan, right? The economy goes down. Like, it's not good. Even recently, Donald Trump got the coronavirus. Whenever the president's health is like a concern, the economy tanks, right? So I just don't think anyone could really see it as that good of an idea. Because also, why assassinate someone for political purposes? Because when you do that, you're just going to make them and their policies a martyr, right? Lyndon B. Johnson acted on a lot of similar things to what Kennedy did because Kennedy became a martyr. If you didn't like what Kennedy was doing, it would be a much better course of action to try and bribe him. You know what I mean? To just coerce him and say, hey, like, oh, I quid pro quo or something like that. Make some sort of deal with him and say, like, oh, get the FBI funding. Assassinating him is not a good way to get what you want passed. Furthermore, Lee Harvey Oswald, his motivation, he was trying to get Russia impressed. He was trying to impress Russia again. He wanted, because he got kicked out. So he was like, oh, if I kill the U.S. president and destabilize the United States, then they'll take me back, right? But Russia was like, no, they didn't like it. They disavowed the plot. So I think, right, that he was motivated to do it by like trying to impress the USSR, but I don't think the USSR directly asked him to do it.
Doesn't it seem a little too perfect? Because think of it.
Also, listen.
It
Lee
does.
Harvey Oswald.
It
Also,
does.
there's just one last point. He actually tried to assassinate like a general, like an army general, like about a month earlier. He tried to assassinate this guy.
Why wasn't he in jail, or was he on the run at that time?
I think they weren't able to like connect it to him at first. I don't know. I forget exactly the story behind it, but he assassinated a general.
It's all too convenient.
There's a trend. I think there shows a pattern of behavior, right? He attempted to assassinate a military general because he believed him to be like a fascist, essentially. So he tried to kill this U.S. general, and so then he goes on and kills the president. I think it shows that he was willing to commit acts of violence for political purposes.
America in the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
There was no type of person on Earth that Americans in the 1960s hated more than communists. Communists, like, there was obviously like a lot of racism and stuff, but that was the focus of that time period. 100% that was the focus. And think about it. If the president gets assassinated, who's the perfect fall guy to do it? A communist. So that everyone sees it and they're like, look at how evil
they don't question it. Oh, it was a commie.
They don't exactly. No follow-up questions come after it.
Which is
he's too perfect. He's unhinged and he's a communist. They found the perfect scapegoat.
I just don't believe. I think it's simple enough. I just don't think. I mean, it's just Occam's razor. I think that.
So where are we going to put this? So we've narrowed it down. Where are we going to put? Here's the statement, and then we'll put it on the meter.
Yeah. Okay. I would actually put it at a 3, which is about a 1% chance of some sort of something suspect happening. So something out of the ordinary.
Something out of the ordinary
happening? Basically something that deviates from the modern narrative. That's what I would say.
I would put it at a 1 because bullets don't do that. Bullets do not.
Yeah.
It's a 3.
Bullets don't hook, man.
I would even say a 4, honestly. A 4.
Oh,
Well,
that's
okay,
just the
so if we
wrong-
got 2 1s and a 4, then that averages out to a 2.
2-1.
2-2.
Fine. It's extremely
Yeah,
likely.
I'll
That's
have to.
good. It.
We'll call
Okay.
it we'll call it a 1.5. Here, I'll hit present.
I'll have to
present again.
respectfully disagree. I'll have to respectfully disagree.
It's
here.
just Max doesn't want to get audited. That's
No. That's not it. I am unconvinced. I am unconvinced by the evidence you have presented. I am unconvinced. That's all.
Okay. Fair enough. No, you're
So
entitled.
bullets just bend. Okay, got it.
Next one.
I don't think.
Okay.
Dick,
Just bend. Whatever.
Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney is Satan. That's this one. Well, there's kind of two aspects of Dick Cheney. One is that he's the spawn of Satan, and 2 is that he did 9/11.
All right.
Quite the roster.
Give us.
So here's
Yeah.
some
the
damning
rundown.
evidence right here. You can see this picture of Dick Cheney here. He clearly has devil horns,
Okay.
which that heavily incriminates him as the spawn of Satan. You can also see his facial expression here. He doesn't. I wouldn't want to be around him. That's all. And right, everyone said Bush did 9/11. That's pretty much a fact now. I think we can all assume that is true.
Okay.
But who was really in charge?
Dick
Was
Cheney.
George Bush in charge? Dick Cheney was in charge.
Yeah. He's the most powerful vice president in U.S. history. Is Dick Cheney? You can check.
Okay,
out my
yeah,
video
I will
on vice
admit that is
presidents on my
true.
channel, 128 seconds. Dick Cheney.
I will admit.
Yeah, is
Yeah,
put
Dick
down
Cheney
as
was
the
pretty much
most-
pulling the
Yeah,
strings.
exactly. Because
Dick Cheney
Bush was inept.
shot a man
Yes,
by
he did.
accident, but he shot a man.
No. Do you know the full story of that? Dick Cheney was hunting for quail with one of his friends.
And he shot a man.
And he
Yeah,
shot
I know.
him in the face. And then he goes
Yeah.
to the hospital to visit his friend who he shot in the face. And his friend apologizes to Dick Cheney. And he says, "Sorry, I messed up
Wow.
your shot." And Dick Cheney is like, "You better be."
Oh my god.
And if that isn't the
That's
most
a pretty
stone
interesting-
cold stuff,
That's pretty menacing. Yeah.
it's
That's interesting.
menacing. And the fact of
That's-
is that he's still alive.
Okay, are
today.
those the words of a human, or are those the words of Satan?
All right, Dick Cheney.
So
is
wait.
Satan.
What exactly? What is your hypothesis here? What claim
Okay.
are you positing exactly?
Satan sent Dick Cheney to Earth to
Okay.
commit an act of terrorism against the United States.
Yeah, I have to disagree.
No,
with
I'll
that
just
one.
put it at most likely right now.
I'll put that a 13. I would say
He's
13.
gonna say 13. No, the devil works in mysterious ways.
to that one.
Uh,
No,
so-
I do not believe in. I do not
So
believe
right
in
now we're
any,
here, right?
Here,
I said because first of all,
Supernatural.
I believe this is a fact,
he believes it's a fact.
Okay.
and you believe it's not true. All right, so where do you lie? Are you gonna where are you gonna tip the
So
scales
okay,
here?
I am currently taking a myth and Bible class where we're studying myths and the Bible, right? Whether
So,
you,
Okay.
Yeah.
whether you believe in the Bible or not doesn't matter. What you need to know is that let's talk about how the Bible depicts.
First of all,
Satan.
Max. First of all, can you address this picture
Yeah.
if he is not spawn of Satan?
Yeah,
I
that's
can
pretty,
address
that's
it.
pretty irrefutable
I can.
evidence.
There we go.
Oh, you know what?
Addressed.
Can you not Photoshop my
Addressed.
pictures?
Man, stop.
Can you not-
I was
can
not
you-
photoshopped.
Can you not Photoshop my
I was
pictures,
doing
please?
quite the opposite. I was
Thank you,
doing quite
yeah.
the opposite.
All right.
Uh,
so
This
so
is
we
an
need to
edited
look at.
picture, by the way.
We need to look at. This is not an edited picture. We need to look at how the Bible portrays Satan. Satan used to be an angel, right? Until he
Mhm.
fell from grace because he attempted to gain God's power, I think, and God was like, "Hey, buddy,
Okay.
can't do that."
Nah, please don't do that, man. Yeah.
So let's think about that narrative for a second. Someone who is
So you're saying
second
that
in
Dick
command-
Cheney
hey,
was
hey,
a-
hey, hey, hold on.
Okay.
You need to listen. Think about it.
I will, I
Satan
will, I
was
will.
an angel. Angels are the second most powerful creatures in the biblical universe. You take
Okay.
someone that was second in command, and he tried to get the power of the person that was the number one in the universe, and you take that and you take Dick Cheney, who was the second in command, trying to take the power from Bush, who was the number one in all the land.
I think
that's
it's
just,
clear.
I think that's
think
just a
one
child-son
conclusion
relation.
can be drawn
What's that conclusion, Joey? Bring it home.
that Dick Cheney was sent to Earth by Satan to commit 9/11.
I'm gonna have to put that at a 1.
Okay,
What are you? Oh
there
my
we
God.
go. So that's
This is madness.
right? More or less.
Okay, no. So this one is the least plausible because you're incorporating supernatural. You're incorporating supernatural aspects. At least the other two, like these are things that are physically possible.
Okay.
But this is not even. This does not even make any sense whatsoever.
Do you think a sane? No, it's not even sane. Insane, sane, anything. Do you think that a human being could look like that? Because that's what he looked like during the Bush administration, and he is still alive. By the way,
Okay, he just looks.
Well, that's more
He just
related
looks
to
like
the
an old-
Adrenochrome thing, which we'll touch on later.
Yes, exactly. But
He
do you
just looks like an
do you
old
think
person.
A
Also, he is-
human being could have shot someone in the face and then gone to the hospital and then had that person apologize to him? Do you think there's anyone with that much clout?
I think that might be a
That was
hyperbolic
before.
anecdote.
That was before
First of all-
he was the
First of all,
vice president.
first of all, we have some more things to debunk here. Number one, right? How many people? 4 people saw Osama bin Laden. 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
4 people in the United States government saw Osama. How can we say he's real? How can we say he's not made up by the government?
What I was ranking is Dick Cheney the spawn of Satan?
Is Dick Cheney the spawn of Satan?
That's a 1.
Which is likely. That one's likely.
Did he do 9/11? I would have to put that at like a 6. I would have to put that at about a 6.
All right, so I'll make a second
Wait a
Alex
minute.
Jones.
Yeah,
What?
second
Okay.
Alex Jones.
First of all, okay. I would say the supernatural aspect just should be thrown out the window. I feel like there's no.
It's
There's no. There is no God.
Next
That's what I would
theory.
say. And there is no Satan.
Next theory.
No. Oh my gosh. Okay, fine.
Jeffrey
Whatever.
Epstein.
Next theory. Uh-huh.
Okay, I think we can all agree that this is like at least there.
I will agree that it is very unlikely, in my opinion.
For sake of clarity, what we're talking about is...
Did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself, or was he killed by the Clintons?
So it is true, fact, that he had a pedophile ring on his private island. Fact. That is an undisputed fact.
Yeah, that is a fact. That's what he was arrested for.
And many powerful people visited this island, including Bill Clinton, who went to this island 26 times.
Anyway, lots of powerful people were going to the island.
I think I don't think necessarily the Clintons, but I think somewhere among this.
Oh, I think
set
multiple
of powerful people.
Yeah.
This guy was just he was like a finance. He was just like a personal accountant, wasn't he? For a ton of rich people.
Yeah.
He had money
he was
and
a millionaire. He was a multi.
No, I know, but how he
rich.
got his money was he was a personal accountant for a ton of really wealthy people.
Yeah, something
and so
finance.
he himself got incredibly wealthy as well. But yeah, I would say I remember it was like the autopsy. There were 2 autopsies, and one of them they said, "This looks like strangulation." And then the other, because I believe it's
the hyoid
he
bone
hanged himself.
is in the neck. Yeah.
Yeah, or at least it is said that he hanged himself.
Well, let's go through the details.
And I will admit that is very difficult to distinguish from strangulation. Those 2 modes of death by hanging, death by strangulation. It's hard to tell.
Actually, it's not.
It's not.
Let me tell you why. Let's go through the evidence. No, it's not the collarbone. It's a bone in your neck. And it was crazy because right after he got after he died, we'll say, in my anatomy class, we started talking about the hyoid bone because it is near your 7 cervical vertebrae, and that bone, it will break if you are strangled, but it usually doesn't break if you just straight up hang yourself. it's
Usually
very
it's a
hard to
bit of
break
an
that bone
understatement.
yourself.
Usually is an understatement. It's damn near impossible
Yeah.
for that bone to break when you commit
Okay.
suicide.
Let's look at some more evidence. He was on suicide watch, and then the guards happened to not be watching him at a max security prison that has
Way too convenient.
that has a ton
Yeah, and
of
what happened to the
guards and
security
stuff.
cameras?
And the security cams went out. It's when you start.
Yeah, the
racking this
cams went
stuff
out
up,
at like
and
Yeah, also I remember he had been in a cell and he said that his cellmate tried to kill him. But this is the reason he was put on suicide watch, was that he was found injured, and so he said it was a suicide attempt. But then later he retracted and said, no, I was actually in fear, like this guy, my cellmate, actually tried to kill me. So that's interesting. So he was like fearful for his life, you know.
So we're not. I don't think we can clearly say who, because he was associated with so many.
But this isn't who. This is
exactly.
if. This is if.
Exactly.
Was he?
Yeah, this is if. And also another thing is, the reason someone would want him dead would be that they wouldn't want him. He was going to be on like trial, and he would have revealed information about these wealthy and powerful people that they would not want to be out there. So it's said that he was killed so that he would not be able to disclose that information. Yeah. I would say out of all the ones we have covered so far, I believe this one to be the most likely.
And keep in mind, green is 25%. I can confidently put that in green, that there's at least a 25% chance. That someone killed Jeffrey Epstein.
We also have some chat from Stop It.
Oh, we have some chat.
Excuse me.
Stop It.
Stop It's in the chat. I showed Alex Jones.
Clear evidence that freedom of expression is dangerous and it should be abolished. No, I would have to disagree there. Stop It. I would have to disagree with that. But
all right, that is that's
it is true though.
Madness meter.
Yeah. There we go.
All right.
Alex Jones. First of all, if we're talking about how mad Alex Jones is
13.
himself, how mad he is himself, I think purple. Just how mad he is.
Yeah. So Alex
keep in
Jones...
mind he claimed Hillary Clinton was not human because of how easily she opened a pickle jar.
Yes.
Oh my god.
That's true.
This guy. Yeah.
He had someone on his show. He had another conspiracy theorist on his show, and he was telling Alex Jones. That's where this is from. He was telling Alex Jones how to make a tinfoil hat. He hadn't even finished ripping the tinfoil, and Alex Jones had already made it and put it on his head. So Alex Jones clearly has made a tinfoil hat before. He's insane. We want to talk about
Alex Jones runs this. He runs. I'm just going to quickly, for those who don't know, he runs this like show called InfoWars, which is like I would say it's like a right wing like conspiracy theory show.
So far right.
Yeah. So I believe he was trying to get like Donald Trump elected. Like he was like endorsed him, and so Alex Jones is like a conspiracy theorist and also a bombastic personality that is occasionally fun to laugh at because he has some very interesting like sound bites, and I particularly am a fan of that video where it's like, "Come back here, coward." He's such a crazy person. It's so weird, but he has promoted some fairly disturbing conspiracy theories.
What are some of his top theories that he's pushed?
Okay, so obviously number one is that Hillary Clinton obviously is a demon. Hillary Clinton isn't human. Obviously he said the one that got him mega canceled was that the great tragedy Sandy Hook didn't actually happen, and that was kind of it for him. For good reason,
His apps got banned. He got taken off of Twitter for a little bit. He got banned from Facebook. I think he's still banned.
Yeah. So that's kind of what was it.
Yeah, and that's why he has to be in the purple, man. You know,
Yeah.
for stuff
He's
like that.
not-
Like
he's-
like we said at the beginning, trauma and like events, traumatic events, they always come with conspiracy theories. But straight
Also,
up, like,
keep in mind,
denying
he
them
was-
is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
But keep in mind, he was also
Yeah.
when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he
Mm.
asked a man to choke him multiple times.
Oh yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm
Yeah.
not
Wow.
I'm not king shaming. I'm not saying anything homophobic. I'm just saying that's kind of weird to ask Joe
Uh-huh.
Rogan's assistant to choke you.
Yeah. Jamie,
so-
pull that video. So
Jamie.
yeah, this is an
Jamie.
interesting question. This is an interesting question. Do you believe that he actually believes in these things, or he's just like a grifter, like he's just trying to make money off of people that believe these things?
He
Because
definitely.
what
I
he
think
says is objectively
if
very
you look
crazy.
at his
but do you
earliest, if you look at his earliest stuff,
Yeah.
he there's no
Mhm.
question that he believes it. Like, and his earliest stuff was just only political stuff. Like, he didn't get into
Okay.
Yes.
Sandy Hook, and he didn't get into all that other stuff. He didn't even get into really individual government people. He just talked about government as a whole. So his original stuff is liberal, is saying that the liberals have like a conspiracy, or the entire Democratic party is like a band of demons, stuff like that. That was like his early stuff, and it's very clear that he believes that, because
Yes.
he gets emotional when he's talking about that and all that
Wow.
other stuff. But his later stuff, that's when he started delving into, like, I saw this one clip. I was just watching Joe Rogan's stuff, and there was this one clip of him saying that he sometimes gets flashbacks to his life, a past life that he had 1,000 years ago, where he was working as an English farmer, and his child had died because of the plague, and he remembers how terrible he felt about that, and like it's he's like gone off the deep end. Like, he was already off the deep end, but now he's at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's crazy.
So he's it's 100% he's in purple. He's in tier 13 of the madness meter.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, the next one we got for you guys, QAnon. This one's a more recent.
Oh boy. Well, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
read
okay.
you. Let me just pull up the Wikipedia thing, because
go
I
ahead.
think just the first line is enough to kind of give you the insight here. It alleges that a cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles is running a global child sex trafficking ring and plotting against President Donald Trump, who is battling against them.
It's an anime.
Wow.
It's an anime plot.
It really is.
Yeah. So this is obviously it causes issues. We're the guys that tried to kidnap
Right here.
the Michigan.
Right away, I'm putting that in purple.
Yeah.
Oh,
the guys
yeah.
that tried to kidnap the Michigan
that
governor, were
Gretchen
they from
Whitmer.
QAnon?
I'm not sure. I think
I'm
it
not
was
sure
actually.
about that.
I don't
not
know
sure,
if they were affiliated.
because
with
they
it,
were. I think they were more like anarchists, because
Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying
there's
to
this video-
overthrow the government. What was it? Michigan.
one governor at a time.
Yeah, one Michigan, one governor at a time. So obviously.
Yeah, it's
if you
interesting. It's
believe in
fascinating
this-
because
Go ahead.
yeah, it's fascinating these people, just the Gretchen Whitmer plot, because they also said, like, I think one of the people said on video, like, oh, Trump is a tyrant. So I think these are just like crazy, like anti-government
Yeah,
people.
they were just
I don't know.
crazy anarchists.
Yeah.
So, but
I don't know how much we have to talk about this, just because
of how insane it is.
I don't think. First of all, just read it. First of all, they have no evidence. So someone was like, you know what, we need to create a pro-Trump conspiracy theory. How far can we go? And then someone said, all right, we're going to do Satan worshipping, we're going to do pedophiles, and we're going to do child sex trafficking. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, that just sounds like sounds like a director trying
insane.
to come up with a really bad movie plot.
Yeah. No,
So
honestly,
I think it's crazy.
It's like I don't think, like, QAnon is so weird to me, because there's been, like, usually it would be like a person, and like I'm saying that if like 2 people believed it, it would even be weird. I'm saying like it would be a person usually that thinks, oh, like take Lyndon B. Johnson or someone who thinks Lyndon B. Johnson is secretly working with Ho Chi Minh to prolong the Vietnam War, you know, and it would be like one guy who, at your like dive bar who thinks that, and he's been living out of his mom's basement for 35 years, you know. But
I think the people who believe in QAnon, there's serious overlap with any of these.
How many?
Lots of overlap.
How many members?
Yeah, so like flat Earth. Yeah. I think almost everyone who believes in QAnon also believes that the Earth is flat. They probably believe the moon landing.
Oh, is that part of the?
No, it's not. But I just assume if you're crazy enough to think a group of pedophile, child, Satan worshipping sex traffickers are after Trump, then I feel like you would also believe that the Earth is flat.
Joey,
so here's the question:
what do how many people are in QAnon?
I have no idea. I can try.
What do the QAnon people? I'm wondering. What do they think about the Jeffrey Epstein thing? Do they think that's part of their? Like.
Yes, I think he was part of the ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why do you see
how many members?
I'm not seeing a number. I think that's really hard to quantify.
Yeah, I would say it's probably hard to quantify.
Millions of members on Facebook group. Okay.
Oh my God. Yeah, they had a ton of Facebook groups, and I think recently Facebook actually banned all these groups.
As they should. It's insane. Yeah.
Well, what the issue was that they started promoting hate speech. I don't mean hate speech. I mean, well, yes, hate speech, but also speech with conspiracy to commit violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're gonna go after this child sex trafficking ring. It's insane.
Yeah.
Do you think it was QAnon who killed Jeffrey Epstein? A little crossover episode.
Oh no.
Nah, I don't think so.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really interesting because this is, I would say, like a textbook example of like the internet spreading conspiracy theories.
Here's the thing, though. This isn't like the spread of misinformation. You know what I mean? There's no news source except like maybe The Onion that says, "Oh, well, there's a group of child sex." You know?
Yeah.
There's not even an ounce of fact. There's not even something that could lead to the, like, it's not misinformation. It's just being incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
Well, it might be. I bet these people probably shared like Alex Jones videos and stuff like that.
I'm sure, but I don't even think I'm not. Actually, that sounds like something Alex Jones would say. But yeah.
Yeah, I bet they have. I mean, I feel like I feel like it's got to be one of the rules of the internet. Anything that can be said will be said. I feel like that might be an offshoot of the more known rule of the internet.
So let's
the 34th
here's
one,
my thinking.
But I don't know.
Here's my thinking. How many people, and I want to ask both you guys this, how many people do you think that are in QAnon, say they have how many members, what percentage of them do you think A, actually believe in what this stuff is, or B, just are in it so that they can promote President Trump as a good person? Because obviously that's one of the most disputed things. How many people in QAnon or associate themselves with QAnon actually believe it and aren't using it for political gain? I feel like they all probably. I mean, I guess not all, because that's sort of, you can't say something. So I would say 99%. I would say believe in it, because I would imagine if you were a Trump supporter, you wouldn't want to be associated with something like that. You wouldn't want.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes.
You wouldn't want QAnon to be associated with, you know, the president. So I would say the people in QAnon
the worst part
probably believe in it,
about these people is they see their QAnon group getting banned, and they say, "Oh, they're after us. They're after us." You know?
Yeah.
Which is just insane. Like that's a lot of them. You know, you see whatever, some create a new Facebook group, and the QAnon people tried to silence us. No, you're promoting violence.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyway,
I can't believe.
I think there's just a strong disassociation there. You know?
Yeah. But I think we can go on to the next one if we don't have anything else to say.
I think we're good.
All right, next up.
Lizard people.
Lizard people. And by the way, this is the best image. You've got everything in here. You've got Illuminati, Bitcoin, lizard people, aliens. Also, it's moon landing fake, because you can see there's like a curtain in the background. This is just the best image
This covers
on the
everything.
internet.
Whatever.
Yeah, this is just such a funny picture.
So what the
yeah.
resolution here is that we're gonna rank the madness meter is:
Are there lizard people?
Yeah, in the government.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
or
just
out
in
there.
general,
Just
at all.
do
I
lizard
would
people
say
exist?
I would say 13th. So
Yeah.
the
No,
theory,
I wouldn't. Here, let
You
me
wouldn't
ask
say
you guys something.
Can you
No,
please
I wouldn't.
explain to me
Okay.
where these lizard people came from?
I will. But
Yeah,
first, I
can.
need to pose. I need to pose
Yeah,
a
I've
question.
heard.
I need to pose
Okay.
a question to both of you guys.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're just starting the drive, so, and we're still we're not really going out to buy our own groceries and stuff. But have you ever gone to a Walgreens at 2 in the morning?
No.
No.
Why? Why would
You
I do
haven't?
that?
Why would you
Also,
do
it's
that?
interesting.
I have, but it's been a few
You
years.
have?
That was
It's been a
kind
few.
of.
Joey, can you document your experience with that for us and just really quick?
I was at the Sherwood Diner.
You were at the Sherwood Diner.
Yes. With people I really don't like. Not sure I was with them. Obviously I don't name any names on the podcast. One of them. Let's call him. Let me think of a name here. Skiles Marfo.
Okay.
He or she wanted to see if Walgreens had Jewel products, which they don't. No, yes they do. I was gonna say yes. So he goes in there and he says, "Can I have a J Boogie?" And the guy says, "You aren't 18." And he said a profanity and then left the Walgreens. And I was emotionally recovering for
That's
like a year.
wow. That's a fascinating story.
So, where are you trying to go with this, Seb?
I'm trying to go with this. Oh my god. Maybe you're distracted by Skiles Marfo doing that, but if you had gone and looked around at that Walgreens,
I did look around.
Was anyone else there? Were other people there?
Other people were there, yes.
And describe their behavior.
Pretty normal.
Pretty
normal. I have to say. First of all, I think anyone who's not normal is because they're tweaking.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
I don't. Okay, what do you think? What's your theory about them?
My theory is that they come out there at the Walgreens. All those people that you saw in there were lizard people. And you're like, why do they come out at 2 a.m. in Walgreens?
Yeah. Because they're on cocaine or heroin, but whatever, we'll go with lizard people.
It's also true. They go in there because A, it's open, so you can go there. But B, it's because there's not too many other people. And I'm not saying everyone in the Walgreens was lizard people.
Okay. So there's a Walgreens or there's like a parking lot or something.
It's fair, yeah.
There's places a lot more secure to meet, and telepathically communicate.
No, that's not what they're doing. That's where you're.
So what are they doing?
Yeah, what are they doing?
To copy human behavior. You're like, why would they go to some Walgreens at 2 a.m.? Why wouldn't they go to
their practice?
Why wouldn't they go to Times Square? It's so that they can hone in on a certain person.
Very interesting.
Joey, I guarantee you, as soon as you left with Skiles Marfo, one of the other people in there went up to that cashier and asked him for a J Boogie, and he didn't get it.
Okay.
100%, because they're copying
Very
behavior.
Interesting.
They're copying behavior, and then what do? They copy the behavior of the heroin addicts and the meth addicts
then don't you think a Walgreens employee would have posted something about this somewhere?
No.
Hey, I think maybe there's a chance that people in my store come there very frequently, and they copy the people who go in.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Walmart or Walgreens employees have seen a lot worse than lizard people in their stores.
That is also very likely.
Here's one of the origin stories I've heard about the lizard people. Is that they're a race of intelligent lizards, and they had to flee underground into caves for some reason, some ecological catastrophe. I forget which, but
So they've been living in caves, right?
and then they have developed light sensitivity, so they can't go out in the sunlight, otherwise they'd burn because it's like they've been living in caves for so
Yeah,
long.
for
And then
sure.
another one I've heard is the Denver airport is connected to a lot of conspiracies, a lot of
Oh, yeah,
conspiracy
we
theories.
forgot to talk about
we
because-
forgot to talk about. We'll talk about
We
that.
can do
Wait,
Yeah.
we can do Denver
Here,
Airport.
wait. Let's hold on.
Yeah,
First,
'cause the
let's
Denver-
madness meter lizard.
Yeah,
people.
okay, okay.
Are we
The
going
lizards-
with 13?
I would say
I think it's
13. I just don't think.
I would
yeah.
put it at a 10. I would say a 10.
Here's
so
the
that
thing. Here's the
averages
thing.
to, like,
Okay.
Let's say they did come from a cave system.
Mhm.
Two things. Number one, they just got the English dialect without anyone noticing
Yeah.
that they don't know it, and it
Yeah.
also implies that they understand the English dialect. They come out of their caves
Mhm.
where it's assumed they have some sort of power hierarchy, you know. So they come
Yeah.
out, they learn English without people noticing they're learning English, and then they say, "Oh, we're just gonna overthrow this species
Yeah,
government."
exactly. But yeah, it's really interesting. One of the things with the Denver airport is that it was like moved from one location to another, and I've heard people say that
the
they
Denver
moved it
airport
to the
is
site
built
of a
on top
cave
of.
exit. Like
Did
they
they
moved it to a
really?
cave exit where
Very
like, oh,
interesting.
they needed to move it because this is how the lizards access.
Well, there's
it's
also
stupid.
just
It's how they
7
access the
giant
surface, but-
buildings sunken underground there,
Yeah.
so that's kind of
Huh.
That and Oh wait, well, I just had something in my head.
The first of all, the seal from the Masons,
Yes, the Freemasons.
and then also the weird murals that depict some
And the
wacky
horse.
stuff,
And the horse.
and the horse that
Oh
killed
yes, the
its
horse.
creator,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucifer. Yeah,
The Denver
And the
airport
budget
is
for that place, they needed a budget of what was it, $400 million to build that airport, and they used $3 billion.
all right. I gotta
think that's the
eat. I gotta
discrepancy.
eat. I will probably be back.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. No. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
I'll probably be back.
Yeah.
Probably
Okay.
be back.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
all right. We'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, we'll see you.
hopefully I'm in time for.
Um,
I'll probably be back. I would say around Aliens, Tucker Carlson.
Aliens.
Enough for my
Right.
enough time for my closing segment.
All right. Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll see you.
All right.
All right.
So
Yeah, it is fascinating with the lizards. I don't think there are actually lizard people. I just like it's sort of like the elites or something,
well,
or
at the end of the day,
lizard
like
people.
if you think that lizard people are on Earth, 13.
Mhm.
If you think that there are lizard
Yeah.
people out there,
Oh,
the
somewhere in the universe. I mean, probably. I mean, it's
More
just something
likely.
called convergent evolution, and this is actually interesting. People think of hyenas, for instance, as like similar to dogs, but they're actually a member of the cat like family. Like if you look at the taxonomy, they are descendant from like a common ancestor of cats before dogs. So so it's sort of convergent evolution, which are both the hyena and the dog-like creatures had to experience similar environments, so they both evolved similar traits. So aliens might have similar features to humans or any other species without actually sharing any genetic similarities, just based on convergent
Here,
evolution.
I want to see the
So yeah.
Denver airport.
Yeah, the Denver airport's insane.
budget.
Have you ever been there? I've never been there.
No, I don't want the car rental.
Have you ever been there?
Did it cost? I've not.
Have you ever been to Denver?
Yeah. Okay.
No? Okay.
So I got it wrong. It was 16 months overdue, and it went $2 billion over its original $2.9 billion budget. So it was already given $2.9 billion.
Some sort of embezzlement thing.
Maybe, but
Is
then
that what the suggestion?
you don't need $5 billion to build a Denver airport.
To build an airport.
Because
A
I haven't
Denver
been
airport.
there. Have you? Did you say you've been?
No,
Yeah,
I
you
was
haven't.
asking. I have not been to the state of Colorado.
Yeah, but anyways, for the Denver airport,
Yeah.
I guess what would we be ranking? The fact that something sus is happening at the
Something
Denver
sus.
airport.
I think
That's a 1.
I think something sus is yeah. I would say even a 0, which would mean 100% on our logarithmic
100%.
scale.
Alright, we're putting that
Because
out there,
okay, but we have to be a bit more specific, because something sus could just include some like Colorado politician wanted to line his paycheck. You know what I mean? I don't think, I would say that's probably the extent. I just think it's such a fascinating, strange place, the Denver airport. We should do an episode from the Denver airport at some point.
At the end of the
Wouldn't that
video,
be
we
funny?
just get like grabbed and thrown into a back room.
Oh, no.
Back rooms. Do you think that's where the back rooms are?
The back.
Do you think they're under the Denver
The back.
airport? That's what they spent
They're
the
under
$2 billion on, was building
building
the
the
back
back rooms.
rooms? Oh.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
no.
Even worse than the back rooms is the edit where it's like, if you hear footsteps, like run or something like that. Like, oh my god, that is so frightening. The back room, when you no clip out of reality.
Anyways, let's hop over to the next one.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, I'm sad that Joey's here. Do you want to skip this and then use it when he comes back?
We can come back to it. Yeah, okay, let's go.
Uh,
Okay, so
we'll come back to Adrenochrome. It's a fascinating one.
Elysium.
Okay, and the next one's Elysium.
Right,
so Elysium.
you talk about this.
Yeah. Elysium is basically this movie where the plot of the movie is like, it's like in the future, and like there is technology that could basically cure you of every disease, just like a magic. You can just be cured of every disease, right? But like the rich people won't let anyone have it, which I would say is kind of a stupid plot, because I imagine the rich people, because it's not like they're saying it's a supply and demand thing, right? In Elysium, they're like, oh, it's not that it's rare and it's like hard to get. They're just saying that for the sake of being jerks, the rich people are just not letting anyone else have it, just because they're greedy or something like that. Which, if they were greedy, it would probably make more sense for them to like try and sell it at a ridiculous price to everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that would make more sense. So basically what I mean by Elysium is that I would argue that there are some people that actually believe this to be true, that like there's some sort of miracle drug, say a cure to cancer or something like that, and like the rich people are hiding it. So I would say in terms of the Elysium plot, which is that they're just hiding it to be jerks, I would say that is incredibly unlikely because they would make so much more money. I mean, look at the whole healthcare industry, right? Everything's at a ridiculous markup. So they would make a lot more money if they were to just sell this miracle cure for like 10 times the price, right? But there are other sort of offshoots, which we were going to talk about Adrenochrome. We'll come back to it. But if they have some sort of miracle cure, but it's like dark arts, it's like forbidden, it's like it involves like cannibalism and things like just like disgusting things, right? If it involves anything like unsavory, right? Like essentially like black magic, like that sort of conception of black magic, but with like technology. If it were to involve something like that, I could see a reason, at least, for them to cover it up. Not saying that I see it as like more likely, but that it does make sense, as in you would actually have a motive, right? Because the Elysium thing does not make sense as a motive, is what I'm saying. But then other possibilities are that it's not necessarily forbidden, it's just rare, so it's like hard to get. I guess that makes sense too. I'm not sure. I don't know. But yeah, I just find it interesting. The sort of like there's some sort of medicine cover up. But yeah. So for the Elysium thing, for Elysium specifically, I would put that at like a 13 just because it's nonsensical. If you're greedy, you would want to sell it, is the thing. So I just think that doesn't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you have a counter argument? What do you think about any of the three I
haven't watched this movie, so I can't really speak to it as much. But I believe that's Matt Damon that I see there. And Matt Damon is known for many other roles. One of them is The Martian. And in fact, I don't know if you know this. I read a lot of the things where it's like movie facts, you know, where it's like, did you know that? I'm just trying to think. Did you know that this scene in this movie was improvised? You know, like the scene in Django Unchained, where like Leo DiCaprio cuts his hand. Like, that wasn't actually in the script,
Ooh.
Stuff like that. So I read a lot of
Oh
stuff
wow.
like that.
Wait, did he actually cut his hand?
Yeah, no, that was
Oh,
real. That was
that
a
is.
real injury
Oh my
on
God.
set. And then he
Oh,
rubs it on
that's
her
uncomfortable.
face. That is his real
Oh
blood that he
no.
just rubbed all over that lady.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I read a lot of
That's
stuff like that because it's pretty
wow.
interesting. Max is not having
That
a
is
good
pretty
time.
interesting.
Um,
That I just cringe at stuff like that. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Specifically with The Martian, Matt
Mm-hmm.
Damon was chosen for the role because he is a Martian. He's from Mars. So going off of that, the fact that they chose
Okay.
him for this movie,
Uh-huh.
the fact that they put a Martian in the role of Elysium, I think it actually is a analogy to Martian history of how this scenario did
Martian
kind of
history.
play out on Mars during the years
Okay.
275 DCE, and all that kind of stuff.
DCE.
But the
What
yeah,
does DCE mean?
oh, that's after the Demos collision event. But
Wait.
Hmm?
Wait. The Demos collision hasn't happened yet.
yeah, no,
That's a
yeah, no, it
future
hasn't happened
thing.
yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in.
So you're
in
from the future, is what you're saying.
Obviously.
You refer to it as history, so you're from the future. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't see time
Okay.
as a line. I see it more
Oh,
as
you're a
circle.
heptapod.
Exactly.
It's non-linear. Okay. Thank you. I just needed to clear some things up. I was just a little confused.
Also, the fact that I was able to pull Demo's collision event out of my ass is fantastic. But
yeah, nice job.
thank you. I can see the scenario playing out on Mars, but not on Earth. So 13 on the madness meter.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
I'll grab Mr. Jones. Throw him in there.
Mr. Oh yeah, here we know. Sorry, I got it.
No, I just threw him in there. So good.
Okay, cool. Okay. So the next one that we got is the moon landing. This is a very common conspiracy theory. People love to talk about this one. And I guess since it's a space thing, I would know the most about this one. But so the moon landing conspiracy theory, I guess there are a few dimensions to it. One of the aspects is the true fact that the technology they used to go to the moon, the computers they used, were like less advanced than just your smartphone. So people argue, how could they have gone to the moon with the computers of the 60s? So that's one of the things. Another aspect is that it was during the Cold War, and during the space race, America was actually lagging behind the USSR for much of the space race. The USSR got the first man in space, first man in orbit, first EVA, which is the extra vehicular activity, so a spacewalk, first spacewalk. The USSR kept making all these advancements, and so the US, according to the conspiracies theorists, say that the US faked the moon landing in order to humiliate the USSR and pull ahead of them in the space race. So that's one of the, and that's actually in the movie Interstellar. That's essentially what all the people believe, because it's like a dystopian, like not post-apocalyptic future, but like mid-apocalyptic future. Like it is in a slow decline, essentially. Like society is just slowly failing in Interstellar. It's an interesting movie, but like all the people, like the accepted school curriculum in Interstellar is moon landing hoax. But I don't think that this is true. Oh, and here's another dimension, another thing that they say is that if we went to the moon in 1969 and then in the first few years of the 70s, why haven't we gone back since then, right? Why aren't there bases on the moon? Why don't people live on the moon now? And I agree with that sentiment, but I don't think it's because we never did it. I think it's just a funding thing. I think it's just once we beat Russia, people just didn't care anymore. I think it would be really interesting to see a timeline where like Russia either made it to the moon first or they made it to the moon second, but Russia never made it to the moon at all. After America did the first moon landing, Russia sort of like gave up. They're like, okay, we can't, we lose. And so then America, after a few more Apollo missions, was like, okay, this is pointless. This is just a waste of money, which I believe is not a good, I don't think that's a good assessment. But if Russia had also done a few moonwalks, right, then maybe the US would think, oh, well, we got to take it another step further, because this is the space race. We got to stay ahead of them. So then maybe they would have put a base up there. And then if Russia matched them with the base, it's just very fascinating to think. But the problem with the space race is that the USSR was sort of failing economically. They were having a lot of economical troubles already. So they couldn't have gone on much longer with the space race. So the moon landing thing sort of gave them an easy out. Not an easy out, they lost, but it gave them a way to stop continuing. But so they couldn't have kept going forever. But I think it would have been interesting if like the space race had gotten America to the point where they had self-sustainable things on the moon, because once you have self-sustainable things on the moon, it's like a nuclear reaction, right? Once you get to the critical mass, the reaction will sustain itself. So once we had a moon base that like could grow its own crops and stuff, we would have stayed regardless of economical, like government spending whatever's, because it would not cost anything. If they are making all their own stuff, then it won't cost us anything, right? But I digress. So the moon landing hoax, I would say the moon landing hoax has some of the stupidest like uses of evidence. So one of the things is in some of the pictures from the moon, you see that the sky is just black, right? There are no stars in the sky. And so the moon landing conspiracy theorists say, why aren't there stars? This is obviously faked. There's no stars in the background. There should be stars in the background, right? And the answer is like so simple. It's literally just camera exposure. Like if you were to just go outside at nighttime, right, and take a picture such that the ground was visible, you will not see any stars in the background, right? So it's just simple, stupid things like that. Like I would say, I don't know, I feel like moon landing and flat earth, maybe this is just because I'm the most well acquainted with these theories, because they are very antithetical to science in particular, so I'm more fascinated in them. I feel like these use just the dumbest evidence, but these other theories we talked about earlier also seem pretty stupid and pretty crazy. But yeah, this whole like the moon landing thing, they say they staged it, and I would argue that it is actually harder to believe that the US had the capabilities to stage a moon landing than it is to believe that they had the capabilities to actually land on the moon. Because think about it, they did not have CGI, right? This is the 60s. Go back and watch movies from the 60s. Look at their like sci-fi movies. Look at the special effects. It's not particularly good. And even if you had the whole US government behind it, I'm not sure they could actually stage something like that. But yeah, it's just so dumb, because you'd think, why, if they were staging it, right, and they should put stars in the background, don't you think they would just put stars in the background? I mean, it's the US government. It wouldn't cost them that much, right, to put stars in the background. It's ridiculous. So it's just the camera's exposure. And then I guess other things, what are the other things? I don't know. I mean,
well, there is one piece of evidence for, like, it's obviously a crazy theory. But there is one piece of evidence for it, which is the lyric from the Red Hot Chili Peppers song "Californication," where they say space is the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. And I think that's pretty irrefutable evidence that the moon landing was faked and made by Hollywood. So I'm going to throw this at a 1.
No, I think that is a reference. I think that's a reference to like sci-fi movies.
It is.
Not the moon.
Yeah. No, yeah. In all honesty, this is probably the stupidest theory. Not the stupidest.
Yeah.
But one of the stupid. This is.
We've gone with some. We've looked at some pretty stupid theories. Yeah,
but this I distinctly remember that hearing.
I think it's a different type. It's a different type of stupid, is what I would say. The other one is like stupid, as in like motives and like why would someone do this and like how would someone do this, whereas this is stupid in just like basic scientific and logical reasoning, I guess. That's what I would say.
I think this is really stupid because, well, this was, and I think this is true for, a lot of other people This was the first
Mhm.
conspiracy theory that I had ever heard. You know, before I had heard about
Yeah,
the
probably me
Illuminati,
too.
before I had heard about
Yeah.
lizard people, before I had heard about even the JFK assassination, I
Mm.
heard that some people out there believe
Mhm.
that the moon landing was faked. It was the first conspiracy theory that I had ever learned of, been alerted to.
Mm.
And I just remember sitting. I was probably in like fifth grade when I heard that there were
Mhm.
people out there that thought this, and I just remember thinking, like, have you read a book? Have you read a
Yeah.
book? Have you like?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, it might be a stretch, but if you
Mhm.
gave Max and I enough time, like until the end of our lifetime, and we dedicated our entire
Mm.
life to learning rocket
You
science
think we could
and
figure it
getting
out?
materials, we could get to the moon.
Well, here's the thing. The concept, the physics is actually simple enough
Yeah.
when it comes to getting in the moon. It's really the engineering side that is difficult.
Exactly.
So rocket science is comprised of two parts. There's, I would say, rocket physics and rocket engineering. And I would say rocket engineering is the more difficult of the two. Rocket physics just
Wait,
requires
so
some calculus.
you take that one, I take
and
rocket
Newtonian
physics,
and-
and then we take 50
Yeah.
years, and then we get to the
We-
moon.
yeah,
and we
we-
build
yeah,
a
okay,
Casa de
okay.
Luna up there, you know?
Yeah, Casa de Luna. That would be pretty nice. A nice little Casa de Luna. But yeah. So the moon landing conspiracy theories, I don't even know what to say. They're just, yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh,
think
do you have
hear-
anything
I
to
think
say,
I hear
Joey? I think
Joey
Joey's
coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
Hey,
I'm back.
Joey, what's up?
Yeah. So what do you think about this one, the moon landing conspiracy?
First of all, everyone says, "Oh, it's CGI." If you look at CGI from the time, there
I
is
know,
simply
yeah, that's
there
another
is
thing.
simply no
Mhm.
way it would have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, CGI really didn't come into play until like the 2000s, and even then, the first decade of the 2000s, like it was rough. Only in like the 2010s do you start to get actual good CGI, I would say. But yeah, so yeah, we actually skipped one while you were gone.
Okay.
So moon landing. Let's go back to that one. Let's go back to the one we skipped.
Let's throw moon landing at
Oh yeah, madness meter.
at a 13 on the madness meter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
13.
I can see
There we go.
see how people would believe it. You know,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can see
Yeah,
how
me
people
too.
would say, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's no way." It's kind of a weird concept that we can leave Earth and go to the moon.
Mm.
But I
Yeah.
think once you kind of look at it, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually more plausible to get to
Yeah.
the moon than to fake a moon
And fake
landing.
it. Exactly. I mean, even something as simple as the gravity, right?
Mhm.
I would say movies are good at normal gravity scenes and
Mhm.
zero gravity scenes, because with the zero gravity scenes they can have people just sort of float around, but it
Mhm.
is very hard to pull off partial gravity, so like lunar or even Martian gravity. I think the movie
Yeah.
The Martian actually did a pretty good job at this, because they
Yeah.
actually had stuff look like it was falling at the
Well,
appropriate
they
rate.
also
But it's really
had
difficult because, yeah,
they also
Stop
have
it.
CGI that's not
Assumption.
1964
yeah,
CGI.
exactly,
So
yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
Stop It had
I
some more
think
things to say.
I think landing on the moon and faking a moon landing are both outlandish things, but I think faking it is more outlandish.
I think faking it, especially in the 60s, I think
Yeah.
the problem
Mhm.
is
Now it
that
could be done.
modern science. Yeah, now it could be done. But I think the problem is that
give a
modern science
mediocre
fiction.
editor yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think modern
So-
science fiction has sort of warped people's perspectives on this, the modern sci-fi movies. But also, I would say that I would say also our techniques for detecting fake videos have also improved. But yeah. So Stop It says, no, there can be no moon landing, given that there is no moon. All right, Stop It.
I think I said
Anyway.
at one point that Stop It may or may not have destroyed the moon, so I think that might be what he's referencing.
Okay. But yeah, so let's go back. The one we skipped while you were gone, Joey, was the Adrenochrome one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. That's one you guys would skip. Okay, so the theory of adrenochrome is that
Mhm.
when you scare a young child, adrenochromes are released in their blood in the brain.
Okay.
So the theory is that right that in hypothetically you could scare a young child, stick a needle behind their eye and pull out their adrenochrome filled blood. And then I
Okay.
guess I don't know. And then they say it makes you younger or whatever. It preserves your age.
Uh-huh.
So the theory is that the uber wealthy people in Hollywood buy this substance. They have someone scare a young child. Al Gore was what originally people thought, that Al Gore was the one
Okay.
transporting this blood in suitcases.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, the theory is that they pay money to have this young child have the adrenochrome procedure, which kills them because you don't just stick a needle
Oh, okay.
behind someone's eye and suck their blood out. So the theory is they do that and then they buy it and then they take it to stay young. So that's how they say, oh, instead of having full-time makeup artists make this Hollywood
Yeah,
actor look
exactly. I mean,
younger than they
I
are,
think
it's actually children's blood.
mhm.
You know?
I think Botox every other week and 27 facelifts can,
Yeah.
achieve
That'll do
a
it.
pretty
Yeah.
similar result.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think that is so this is a pretty dumb theory, I would say, because just saying, "Oh, the wealthy and elite look younger than they should," that doesn't imply that it must be because of some dark like ritual, like some dark like technology. I mean, it just means that they are rich, so they have access to, they
Yes.
could spend millions of dollars on looking younger, and it would actually be a good investment because many of these people are like actors, so they need to look good to
Yes.
be in movies. So it's like it's just sort of stupid. Yeah, this is a dumb one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So we're gonna post
It's
that
outlandish.
out of 13.
Before QAnon,
Yeah.
before QAnon kind of reached
Mhm.
mainstream, Adrenochrome was kind of the idea of a conspiracy theory taken to the extreme.
Yeah. At
You
the
know
end,
what I'm
at
saying?
the end of these, we're gonna take the ones
So
that
does
we
QAnon
rated.
believe in this?
Ooh, that's a good
No,
question.
but what I'm saying is before QAnon existed,
Okay.
kind of the furthest conspiracy theory was this.
Yeah, at the end of this stream, we're gonna take the
Okay.
ones that we rated at a 13, and we're gonna figure out what's the most outlandish. We're gonna rank them.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would say some of these might go past 13, which is possible because again, this is a logarithmic scale, so it's just approaching 0. But yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, the next one we have would be
Is flat Earth.
Flat Earth.
Yes, flat Earth.
Give
Or
it
This is
up.
an interesting
Velociraptor.
one.
Yeah, give it up for flat Earth. This is
The
a very similarly like this is in league with like moon landing people. I think all of the flat earthers are also moon landing hoax people because but not all moon landing hoax people are flat earthers because the flat earth people have like a fundamentally different view of like the universe. So like basically the moon landing couldn't have happened under flat earth physics is what I'm trying to say. While moon landing people might just believe that the moon landing didn't happen, but space is as it is, right? So yes, the flat earth is like a level worse, a level dumber than the moon landing one. And so basically they believe, well, the earth is flat, which is an interesting notion because so it's often said that like they believed the earth was flat in like the 1600s and 1500s, like around there, but really as early as like the 230 BC, actually 230 BC.
Well, they
They
saw a boat sail away and said it's not flat.
Yeah, exactly. 230 BC was actually the first time somebody calculated the circumference of the earth. The man was named Aristophanes. He was a Greek like mathematician, and so what he did was, I think it was Alexandria and this other city that lay exactly. So the other city was directly south of Alexandria, and it lay exactly on the Tropic of Capricorn or Cancer, whichever one is in the north. So it was 23.5 degrees above the equator, and so this city, the sunlight shined directly down on the summer solstice. So there would be no shadows. And if you looked in a well, the light would go all the way down into the well and come right back up. So no shadows, right? And so what Aristophanes did was on the summer solstice, he measured the angle of sunlight at noon, of course. So at noon in this city, at noon in Alexandria, and the angle of sunlight produced like it was 7 degrees off. So
Yeah.
then he had one of his interns, right? He had one of his apprentices, which is like that equivalent of interning, right? He had his intern walk the distance from Alexandria to this other city and then count like how many cubits I think it was, because I think cubit was their unit of measurement. And so then he calculated the circumference of the Earth, basically saying, this is 7 degrees, like from Alexandria to this other city is 7 degrees of the Earth's surface out of 360. Then he calculated the whole circumference of the Earth, and he was only off by like 10%. So the flat Earth thing, right, has been disproven like 2,000 years ago. These people are more than 2,000 years behind, right?
Yeah, I know. I love.
Also, here's the
Yeah,
thing
go
about
ahead.
it, right? Is that
Yeah.
is that it assumes, because it's
Mhm.
not just that the Earth is flat. Then you have to go, okay, so why do they say the Earth is round? So then you have to add on
Mhm.
that it's a global government conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
not just the Earth is flat. It's that there's a first of all, I've never had a valid reason why it's of benefit to the government to lie about the Earth being flat.
So yeah, actually, I can give you that one. They say that it's that NASA and all the space agencies are fake, and they're really just funneling money. So they're saying the Earth is round so that they can justify space programs.
Wow.
So
I feel like you could justify space programs regardless of the whatever. It's crazy.
Well, no, because yeah, it's crazy regardless. But like their whole thing, like the sun is a light in the sky. You know what I mean? Like in the moon, all the planets are just lights in the sky. So there would be no space agency if the Earth were indeed flat, because there would be nothing in space.
So that explains. Okay, so then who put it? You know what?
Yeah.
So then someone had to create light. Someone had to create the sun, and put it in the sky. Okay.
I mean, it was probably I don't know, God, right? But yeah, it's really interesting. Another thing they say is that the UN is secretly sending a message that the Earth is flat with the UN logo, which is a projection of the Earth that they believe the Earth actually looks like this, which is the North Pole in the center, and then everything's like circles around, and then Antarctica is a big ring, and they say there's an ice wall. There's an ice wall around Antarctica, and like that's why you're not allowed to go to Antarctica. And by the way, you are allowed to go to Antarctica
if you have the money. Yeah.
If you're capable of going to Antarctica, you can actually indeed go to Antarctica. I mean, fly down to Argentina and then get like a boat and then just head south. You'll get to Antarctica. I mean, I think there are minor regulations on Antarctica, which is basically just that it's a wildlife preserve. So they don't want basically, even researchers that go to Antarctica, any waste that you produce, so like wrappers and stuff like that. So like if you have a water bottle that you bring with you to Antarctica, you better bring the empty water bottle back with you when you leave like 6 months later. So it's very, very pristine environment because it's a wildlife preserve. It's for the sake of science. But yeah, so the flat Earth thing is just ridiculous, especially the projection of Earth that they chose. It's not the Mercator projection. As I said, it's it's like the equator. It's everything's a circle around the North Pole. That projection is particularly bad with the southern hemisphere. So anything in the southern hemisphere is incredibly stretched out on a flat Earth model because of how they do it. And so this is part of why they say Australia doesn't exist, because people have pointed out, like, hey, if I were to take a flight from, Sydney to Cape Town, right, on the actual Earth, that'll be like, I don't know the exact time, say 8 hours, right? But on the flat Earth, because of the geometry you've said that there is, that would take like 3 times as long. And so they say, oh, Australia's not real. It's not real. But that still doesn't make sense, because you could say do Cape Town to, I don't know, Santiago, Chile, right? Those are 2 points in the southern hemisphere as well. You'll have an extremely longer flight because of that. So very, very dumb theory, I would say. Also, there's so much, like, I would say that on YouTube. YouTube had a flat earther problem a few years ago where like there were so many flat earthers, and this is what I was saying earlier with like the meritocratic nature of the internet, is that these like sensational, like crazy videos, the craziest videos were the ones that would get promoted. And so
Yes.
YouTube had to actually ramp that down and like change their
Mhm.
algorithm to fix that. But yeah, so the flat earthers, they try to like, it's so funny because they do like experiments.
Well,
Like I'm putting air quotes.
paid a group
Yeah.
of flat earthers. They said, "All right, you
Mhm.
have you have a very large budget here to prove the Earth is flat."
Mhm.
They came back with suddenly they had a revelation that maybe it's round. So the results of this documentary to prove the Earth is flat was actually ended up saying the Earth is actually a sphere.
Wow. At least they converted those people. But yeah, basic things like ships sailing in the distance, a lunar eclipse even, other things like, let's see, even if you look at, say, like the level of
Also, if
water
the
and
tidal waves is if the sun's a
yeah.
light, then
Mhm.
how do tides work?
Yeah,
You
how
know
do
what I'm
tides
saying?
work?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just basically antithetical to physics. It's just very dumb. Um, like they say, okay, here's one thing. They say that there is no gravity. Instead, it's buoyancy. And buoyancy, if something's heavier than air, then buoyancy will make it fall. And if it's lighter than air, then buoyancy will make it go up. But the thing that they fail to recognize is that buoyancy is a secondary effect of gravity. So gravity's not real. It's buoyancy.
Got 'em.
That's the dumbest thing in existence. That's like saying, what? I'm trying to think of an analogy here. That's like, uh, I don't know, but you get what I'm saying, right? Gravity creates buoyancy. Buoyancy is a result of gravity. So they're like, oh, gravity's not real. It's just buoyancy. And I'm like, oh my god. So it's so dumb, very, very dumb. Yeah, that's what I would say.
And it's
So,
also
yeah.
um I was watching this video of this guy. He's one of the most effective snipers. He's retired. He was one of the most effective snipers in. I'm not sure if he was a Marine, but he was in some branch of the military. And for some of his longest shots that he took on the field,
Hmm.
there's a lot of math involved with sniping. You have to figure out the distance from the target, wind resistance, angle of depression or angle of elevation. You have to figure out how much recoil you're going to get. You got to figure out all this other kind of stuff. But if you're going for a really long shot, you have to calculate the curvature of the Earth because like if you're going from a
Yeah.
very long distance, then you have to calculate that. You also, as another thing, you also have to calculate in the rotation of the Earth because like Earth might rotate slightly.
Oh,
Based on
that's
time
actually
it
the
takes.
Coriolis effect. Wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool. That's the Coriolis effect. So if you're shooting north, I think it's like the bullet gets deflected, or well, it depends what hemisphere you're in. If you're in the northern hemisphere shooting north, your bullet will end up deflected. I believe it would be east. It would get deflected east. And if you're shooting southward, again in the northern hemisphere, it'll get deflected west. This is why hurricanes occur. So that's really fascinating, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So flat earthers are idiots, and
Yeah.
they're idiots that unfortunately have a platform. So I'm gonna throw them at a 13,
Yeah.
if that's all right with you. Lance.
Yeah. That's all right with me.
Well,
Oh yeah, we also got chat. Daikaiju Productions says it's just rocket science.
it is just
As I was talking about
Oh, we
rocket
already know.
physics and
Thanks,
rocket
Chat.
engineering. But yeah. Did Joey? What happened with Joey?
Is he still here?
No, it
He
doesn't.
might be off for
I
a
think
little
he.
bit.
Okay.
He
Well,
might
we're
just
getting
be
to the
muted
ending
for a little
segment.
bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Next up, we
all
got
right. So
aliens.
yeah, aliens. Particularly, the theory is that aliens are currently here. Often, it's in Area 51. And there are a ton of UFO sightings, and they say that the UFO is an alien. But this is interesting because this is like with the discrepancies and the basically the leap in logic here, the leaping to conclusions, is that what a UFO, the literal meaning of the word UFO, means unidentified flying object. So just because it's unidentified, it does not mean that it is an alien. But for some reason, the word UFO has become synonymous with like alien ship. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's strange. So yeah, I think there are aliens out there somewhere, just because the universe is very expansive, and there's just so much space, and so the probability that there are aliens over such a vast space, even if it's such a small probability, they're probably out there somewhere. But I do not believe that they have. I don't believe that they have ever visited Earth,
Alright,
nor
so
do I believe
let's
that they
grab,
are currently visiting
let's
Earth.
grab two Jones
Yeah,
for this one.
yeah, two
One of them will
Joneses.
be
All right.
for do aliens exist at all?
That's got to be like a 0. Aliens, of course, must. It's sort of a mathematical, like it's definitive because of just the functioning of an infinite universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
'cause
definitely
think
think there are.
yeah.
Do you want to get 3 Alexes? Because I believe
3
that,
Alexes.
I
Okay.
believe that there
Right.
is
My-
100%.
My computer decided internet doesn't exist for a little bit.
Oh.
It's all good.
So yeah.
So
Which one
Yeah,
are we
no
on?
problem.
Which
we're
one
on
are we on?
aliens.
We're on
right
aliens.
now.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
What's the deliberation been?
here I will
All right.
give it to
So
you right now.
so the fact
Or Max
that
will.
there are aliens. The fact that there are aliens at all in the observable universe, I would say, is 100%.
I agree. Yeah.
Maybe 99% true.
Yes.
Because basically there are hundreds of billions of galaxies, right?
Yeah.
So
Another one
even if
has
you had
life.
such a-
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
There must be life
That I
somewhere in
agree
the
with.
observable universe, and the observable universe isn't even necessarily the whole universe. But I would say I do not believe that aliens have ever or are currently visiting Earth. I don't think there are aliens
That
here.
I agree with.
Do you think
yeah.
there are aliens out there that have the same level of civilization or intelligence that we do?
I am not sure. I would.
Because that's why we need the 3 Alexes, because I could easily see there being alien bacteria. Alien forms
Yes,
of bacteria.
for sure.
Single-celled alien organisms are almost a scientific
That's a given. It's a given.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
the intelligent. Well, it also depends on your scope.
That's why we
I
need
feel
3 Alexes.
Okay.
it's very difficult because we only have one data point right now, and that is Earth.
True.
So it's very difficult to get a lot of information. But from the planets we've observed, we haven't received any signals. But this is a Carl Sagan quote. This is absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. That's an interesting one.
True.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I believe that over the entire observable universe, I believe that there must be some intelligent life forms. Yeah. I think probably there are some like galactic empires out there. I mean, think about it. If there was a galactic empire a billion light years away,
We'll never know.
it would take a billion years for us to find out.
Are we
You know,
going
we
to
would not.
throw that out at 1? We're going to put that at 1?
Yeah, sure, we could put that at 1. Yeah, but the thing is, when it comes to our light cone, I guess you could say, and our light cone is like, currently the light cone is like, I believe it's 70 light years wide, and this is, or in radius. This is basically how far have our radio signals gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first radio signals that like could be detectable from space are from like the 40s, so like about 70 years. So we have a 70 light year wide radius, and I doubt there are even aliens within 70 light years, I would say. But yeah, another interesting thing about alien visitation that just makes it so unlikely is that interstellar space really is incredibly vast, right? So say there were aliens on Proxima Centauri, which is the closest star. They would have to go 4.2 light years to get to us, and with our current like technology, like say the Voyager probe would take at the speed it's going, and it's not going in the right direction, but at the speed it's going, it would take like tens of thousands. It would take like 80,000 years to get to Proxima Centauri. So it would be like to achieve interstellar travel. It takes at least 4 years from the nearest star, and probably quite a bit longer because it's hard to get to relativistic speeds. fusion drives, antimatter drives, like, and even Kugelblitz drives are theorized that they could get around 10 to 20% light speed. But getting something to like 90% light speed would require something crazy like a Dyson sphere. And a Dyson sphere would, because you could basically funnel all the light onto a light sail. And so think about it. All the power of a star on like a reflecting sheet will accelerate something crazy fast. So you could probably get something pretty close to light speed using something like that.
Yeah.
But that brings up another thing.
Well, then you also need a
Dyson
material
sphere.
to be able to survive that speed.
Yeah, to survive that, and to survive just the sheer radiation it would receive, like it would be vaporized. But also, if you accelerate too fast, then everyone inside will, die of hyperacceleration. But yeah, that's another thing about the aliens is the Dyson sphere problem. Is that Dyson spheres are basically when you surround a star with basically just energy collectors, and then you're collecting all the power of the star. And that is considered to be like the inevitable, like it's an inevitable step that a species would take, basically, that our species
That's
would take.
awfully close to a star. I mean...
So do we think that aliens have visited Earth?
No.
No.
Okay, well, how about this? How about this? An alien form of bacteria, which we said is pretty much a certainty, is on a meteor that collides with Earth. And then the thing doesn't fossilize, and then it immediately dies.
I think we might actually be the aliens. There's this concept called panspermia, which is basically the fact... Yeah, which is basically the concept that life on this planet in particular, but this is just a general concept, life can be seeded from other planets. So say that there's life on Earth, right? An asteroid hits Earth and sends fragments out into space. Those fragments are carrying life forms on it. And say that Mars was habitable to life, but there was no life on Mars. One of those like meteor fragments would eventually find its way onto Mars and then, spread life. Sort of like a sneeze, in pandemic times. It would be like spreading a virus. And so that's panspermia. And I think it's incredibly likely that panspermia actually happened here on Earth, and that life on Earth is actually descendant from some bacteria that hitched a ride on either intrasolar, or it could be an extrasolar object like Oumuamua, which is the the asteroid that we recently saw hurtle through the solar system and leave on a hyperbolic trajectory. But yeah, I think it's incredibly plausible that life on Earth could be seeded from another planet.
I wouldn't call it incredibly plausible because...
I would say incredibly plausible because abiogenesis...
I'll put it like there, personally.
Yeah, abiogenesis is basically how dead things created living things, right? At some point along the way, dead material had to become living material, right? And so it has been scientists, biologists have been trying, and they cannot figure it out. They cannot figure out abiogenesis, right? And so I would say that if abiogenesis is such a rare event, it could be the case, like, say that we find out exactly the process that abiogenesis would have needed to be, but the chance that would just happen on its own, I would think that it might be possible that the chance of that happening is so unlikely that the chance of a random asteroid hitting Earth with life on it is even more likely. So maybe as an event, abiogenesis is so rare that it would only ever occur like once in a given galaxy. But meteor collisions are less rare, to the point that you get one event of abiogenesis in a galaxy, and that one event, through extrasolar objects, seeds the rest of the galaxy with life. Because rather than individual points of abiogenesis, right, individual instances, it's much easier to just have one instance, and then panspermia can handle the rest. So I don't know. That's down to like Drake equation probabilities, to be honest. That gets down to like whichever is more likely. I think we have a better handle on the likelihood of asteroid collisions than we do on the abiogenesis thing. Abiogenesis is just incredibly elusive.
Yeah.
We have not done it
Yeah,
yet.
I just think there's too much uncertainty to call it very plausible.
Yeah, too much uncertainty.
Mhm.
I think Alex is in a good spot right now.
All right.
I think we can head over to the next one. Tucker
All right.
Carlson. All right. So, Tucker Carlson works for Fox News, and he says some batshit stuff, like some
For sure.
absolutely insane stuff, and it was crazy. So there's this show. It's called Paradise PD. It's really not good.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
It is really
not good.
Show.
Okay.
Like honestly,
I
I
won't
wouldn't
watch
recommend it, but I do have to commend them. I do have to commend
Okay.
them on one thing, and to this day, I don't know how they get away with it. They are able to use the real names of everything.
Really?
They're able to use. Sorry for the little Microsoft thing right there that popped.
Oh, no
up.
problem.
But they are able to use the real names of everything. They can say Fox News. They can say CNN. They can say specific individuals, and one of them is Tucker Carlson. They had an entire
That's fascinating.
episode.
That's like South Park. That's like
it's like South Park. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the entire episode was devoted to Tucker Carlson and just divulging the things the most insane things he's said. And it's like crazy. It's really crazy that they're able to get past copyright somehow and like slander it, because they made Tucker Carlson like just disgusting. I'm not gonna get into it.
Yeah.
You can watch it.
Here's a question. This is a quote I've heard. I'm not sure if it's Carlson or if it's Hannity, because I know he's another Fox News guy. It's sun goes up, sun goes down, tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain that. And it's like, we can explain that, actually.
Okay, I'm going to be real here. I think...
exactly. It's pretty much that.
I think he's just stupid. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a plant. I think he's just
so
he's not the brightest.
That was one of the theories I proposed, was that Tucker Carlson is a plant, because it was I think we mentioned it before stream. He was on trial, or there was a court case involving him, and the people that were defending him said that no sane person should ever take Tucker Carlson seriously. That was their defense in court. The lawyers that Fox and hired.
Yes. Now is that just because? Yes. So then, no, because if it's the higher ups at Fox, then he's not a plant. Unless you say Fox News, the network.
No, it was the Fox lawyers that was their entire defense in that court case.
Lawyers for Fox.
Yes.
Like not Tucker Carlson's lawyer, but Fox's lawyers.
Fox's lawyers. Yes.
Okay, I think then I don't think he's a plant.
You don't think he's a plant? I think there's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't think.
Because like
I think
Alex
this is
Jones. So what we're thinking about Alex Jones was that he started as a hyper right, hyper conservative theorist, and then he devolved into just not even political stuff to just crazy spewing out theories with no basis. Because usually what Alex would do earlier would take a Senate meeting and then turn it on its head, and warp it to an extreme degree. But now what he's doing is he's taking it from nothing. From absolutely nothing, he's creating these theories. I can see Tucker Carlson doing the same thing. He's obviously like an idiot, and he's taking this stuff and he's doing it. But now it's gotten to the point where he's saying stuff like germs don't exist and the tides or whatever you said, like that kind of stuff that toddlers.
Actually, no, I think these might be other Fox. I think the germs thing is actually another Fox News person. I think just in general, Fox News is just kind of not good.
But,
I think that's kind of what you're proving.
For that reason, I think he's not a plant.
I think he's not a plant.
Yeah, I don't, because here's another thing with
I think
with news organizations, right? Is that when it comes to pundits, right? It's not that the news is paying, like people often say like, oh, this news station is paying this person to say that. And I'm like, no, they're finding the one person that is going to say that and hiring them. Yeah. It's not that they hired a completely sane, honest person and then said, hey, if you say all this, like you got to say all this if you want the job. No, they're just finding the like craziest people essentially.
Right. So yeah,
and
we
then
can throw that down
hiring them,
under unlikely. I don't think it's as unlikely as the moon landing not happening because there's still a
Yeah,
chance.
I mean,
I'm gonna put it like here,
yeah, I guess.
I think.
Just gonna throw it here.
I think that's good.
That's good. Yeah. So that would be what 25,
Yeah.
25, 1. So that's what.
That would
like
be
point...
625. That's like a quarter, a third of a percent chance.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I meant to go in the other direction.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
How much further?
Yeah, like there.
Yeah, okay.
Because I just think Fox News hire stupid anchors.
All right.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that would be fair
All
to say, because two of these quotes, these are like quotes from other Fox News
Yeah.
people.
And I don't think you can say Fox the network is a plant by the left.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
All right.
I
next
think
one.
yeah.
Being Joey, do you want to take this?
Okay.
Take
so
this is Joey's thing.
Okay. Who says straight people exist? Straight people say straight people exist.
Okay.
Right? So you can't use the person in question as the witness. A murderer can't say, "Oh well, I'm not a murderer."
Okay.
So straight people can't say, "Oh, I'm straight."
But what about the gay people that believes that straight people exist?
Find me that doesn't happen though. So there you
yes,
go.
It does.
I think
no, it doesn't happen. They are plants from they're Fox News plants. Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay.
You know, I think this is probably the most plausible we've done. I'm gonna put it out here.
Okay. Well, let me
I
put
would
the case.
say
Let me put the
case.
I'll ask both of you this. If you made someone immortal,
mm-hmm.
they live throughout all of human history. So we're talking billions of billions of billions.
That's
of years,
tough.
Right?
Yeah.
Human history would just be a few million, but
no, hey, buddy, I know. I'm from the future.
You mean future?
I'm from the future.
Okay. You mean future. All right.
Billions of years, and do you seriously believe that they wouldn't try a little homosexuality once? With millions of years.
First of all, the ratio of straight marriages to gay marriages, the ratio has significantly increased since the Supreme Court. Whatever, it's been increasing, right?
Yes.
The amount of gay marriage has been increasing. The ratio of gay marriage to straight marriages. So I think that's going to continue until the ratio becomes 100 gay marriages to 0 straight marriages.
Well, here's a question: how has humanity existed if being straight is a myth? Because isn't that required for reproduction?
You can be bisexual, right?
Oh, okay.
No, it's out of necessity.
Is that in your argument?
It's out of necessity. No one likes going to work, or very few people do. You know, there's a lot of people who just go to work to go to work. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Joey, is there something you wanna admit?
Anyway, and I think at the end of the day, there's only one company we can put behind this.
Whole Foods.
Whole
Foods. They're the center of it all.
I like Whole Foods. It's expensive.
Have you ever seen a straight person at Whole Foods?
I mean, I've been to Whole Foods.
Exactly. Boom.
Hey. Oh, okay. All right.
Anyway, closing, I have one thing to say. And that's Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Whole
Foods. Okay, I guess are we going to final thoughts? I don't know. Oh my god.
There you go. I think I just proved it.
All right. So let's take final thoughts. Let's take a look back at what we've done. What do we think is the most outlandish out of any of these? The
most outlandish out of all of these.
All of these theories, what is the most outlandish?
I think the most outlandish is lizard people, to be honest.
I would argue the most outlandish is flat Earth.
You know what? I agree with flat Earth because that is something that is so easily observable.
Yeah, it just goes against basic physics and basic just human eye observation.
You fly on an airplane.
I mean, the Greeks figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's most outlandish just because it's very easy to prove.
Yeah.
So that
Also,
gets,
just because
that
it
gets
basically
the
it
big
violates
Alex.
basic physics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets the big Alex.
That gets the big
It-
Alex.
oh my god, that is frightening. When he expanded, that was like a jump scare. But yeah, I would definitely say flat Earth, because there's two types of conspiracy theories. I would say one is just like saying that people are doing bad things, right? Another basically questions basic physics. Like
Exactly.
you cannot question basic
Yeah.
physics.
Well,
That just becomes
debatable, but whatever.
well.
We'll go
Well,
with
I
that.
mean,
Unless you're doing, like,
Einstein.
quantum mechanics
Einstein
and
questioned
stuff.
Newtonian
Einstein was a
physics,
plant.
right?
Jeez.
But you can't question
Plant by
like just
who?
yeah
Tucker Carlson.
time
planted.
traveling Tucker Carlson.
Is
Alright.
Tucker Carlson the G-man? Let's talk about that.
Is
The
Tucker
G-man.
Carlson the government?
Is he the government? Was
I don't
Tucker
think-
Carlson?
I think all we can deduct is that Tucker Carlson was responsible for the assassination of John F. Kennedy. I think
Oh my
I
God.
think that is the most logical conclusion I have ever drawn in my
Okay.
life. Probably.
Nice.
All right, so
All
the
right.
flat Earth is officially, it gets
Is-
the big Alex seal of
Yeah,
approval.
they get the big Alex.
It is the most outlandish
Yeah.
theory out there, beating
Yes.
out moon
Mhm.
landing, beating out adrenochrome, beating out whatever the hell Tucker Carlson is saying, beating out.
Because at least
QAnon,
at least you can't visually observe the rest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You can visually observe the curvature of the Earth.
And
Mhm.
there you go. There you have it.
Yeah.
Moving
There we
into
go.
some
So final thoughts.
thoughts.
Yeah. So, conspiracy theories are, I don't know. I would say they're here to stay.
They are,
conspiracy
for sure.
theories. People, it will be impossible to unconvince every single person of these things. And to a certain degree, it is good to have a healthy amount of skepticism.
Yes,
I
for
would
sure.
say. I think that is often the role of, say, the media. The media is often called the fourth estate, which is a reference to the three branches of government, saying that the media is the fourth because they will call out when the government does things that are improper. So like whistleblowers, people like that. I think it's very important to have a healthy amount of skepticism that the government is always well-intentioned, right? I feel like that's a fair thing to say. However, I think that many people go quite like too far, much too far in the other direction,
Like
where they don't believe anything. Yeah,
all
just-
authority should be
go ahead.
questioned, right? But sometimes
Yes.
you gotta ask yourself if.
But the
your
existence
question-
of gravity shouldn't be questioned.
Yeah, exactly. If your
Yeah.
question has
Yeah.
enough authority to be asked in the first place. You know?
Yes.
yeah. Well, it's also you can ask a question, but you better come to the right answer.
Also,
right?
I
So
think we've gone.
even if you ask a question,
I think we.
even if you
sorry.
ask, is gravity real,
Mhm.
right? You should be able to come to the conclusion, yes,
Yeah.
it is real. I mean,
Well, also the phase of questioning gravity, I think, has expired because there was a time where we did
Yeah, that's-
question
that's fair.
gravity,
that's
Sure.
fair.
and
Yeah.
and people said that Apple fell because God made
Mhm.
it fall.
Mm.
So right, that the theory of gravity has already been tested. You know,
That's true.
that's already
Yeah,
that's already
yeah.
been questioned.
Or even
Yeah.
past like elementary school. Like
Yeah.
elementary school kids, their teacher tells them to go do an experiment to prove that.
Drop a
gravity
pencil.
exists. Yeah,
Drop a
drop
pencil.
your cat out the window, see what happens. And they'll come back. They're like, the cat isn't moving, and he's like, yeah, that's why gravity exists. And then they look at it. They go and pass. Obviously, Tucker Carlson missed that day in school, but he was absent that day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, they are definitely here to stay, and they're just gonna
Yeah.
keep getting crazier and crazier. Because think about it,
Yes.
if we're
Yeah.
questioning stuff like the moon landing, think about when we start
Mm.
making stuff like Max said, like a Dyson sphere, or like we start getting
Oh, yeah.
crazier technology. Like think about it.
Yeah, I
when,
think.
even with history, like we move
Yeah.
into different wars, and obviously a
Mm.
lot of conspiracies come with wars. But
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
First of all,
I think it's really fascinating. This is a potential future conspiracy theory that I heard from someone. I heard someone say, once we say colonize Mars, and there are people living on Mars, and people have been born on Mars, they've lived there for generations, there will be Mars truthers,
Yeah.
and the Mars truthers will say something like, "Oh, say Earth isn't real, or maybe we actually originated from Mars and went to Earth, and there will just be a whole subset of Martian conspiracy theorists. So yeah, that's very fascinating. But yeah.
All right, is that
Imagine one of those people watching this video right now. Imagine this video being used as evidence that people were once on Earth, and then they're like, no, I don't know.
Like, no,
I don't know what kind of logic.
I think regardless if you're a Martian 3 centuries from now or you're today, I think everyone can say Alex Jones is loony.
He's a Looney Tunes.
I think that's the one thing that's going to unite generations, planetary.
Yep.
Is that Alex Jones, bit of an oddball.
Alex Jones versus Tucker Carlson. Who's more insane?
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
At least Tucker Carlson.
I feel like Tucker Carlson is just straight up racist because some of the stuff he said, like in the Paradise PD episode, they go heavily on the fact that he said that gypsies were invading the U.S. or something.
Oh no.
He said some bad stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of disturbing because the thing is that Tucker Carlson actually gets some fairly mainstream advertisers like on his show. Just if you look at Fox News, if you look at the commercials they get, right? They get some fairly mainstream advertisers, while Alex Jones only gets like supplement companies that are also likely fallacious, that are incorrect. You know, like fraudulent supplement companies like vitamin D, right? So I think actually the type of advertisements a person gets might be sort of a good measure, as long as they're sort of relevant enough, because obviously we get no advertisements, so we have no credibility. But what I mean is that, like, you know, more mainstream companies are willing to associate with Tucker Carlson versus Alex Jones. So I think that sort of says that Alex Jones is the more out there personality. But so that would be my.
I think that wraps this up.
That wraps it up.
In quick summary, Max assassinated JFK. I'm a plant by Tucker Carlson, and Joey's gay. So thank you everyone so much for watching.
Well, okay.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching this live stream. Thank you to Stop It and Daikaiju Productions who talked to us in the chat, and thank you, Joey, for being our guest this week.
It was great.
Could have been anyone else. Yes. As soon as Max said we're doing conspiracy stream, my mind